Hi everyone. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Welcome to our Ask Me Any Stock session. If you guys can see and hear me, thanks for being early. Those of you who have been joining us almost every week. Just type a GM for good morning. Let me know, guys, if this is working. You can see and hear me loud and clear. You can see our screen as well, filling up the entire canvas right over here. Okay, let's see who is joining us here today. Good morning. Hi, we have hi, good morning, Cynthia as well. Hi, Brandon. Good to see you here. Hi, Ray. David, John, hi, Tan JH as well. Terry, good morning. Dex as well. Good morning. Siuling, Joseph, Hokit. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Seems like this is working. Welcome to our Friday Ask Me Any Stock session. So every Friday, if you have been following us since last year, we go live. We go live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. All right. And we pretty much cover the stock that you guys are asking about. Right. And today we'll be back to the US market. Right. So we alternate between the Singapore and the US market. So last Friday was Singapore. So now it is back to US. Next Friday, we'll be back to the Singapore market. All right. So let's get started. Good morning, guys. All right. And very simple. All right. Before you even get started, guys, would it be okay if you help us to like and share? Help us to like and share. Help us to reach out to more people. All right. So that more people can join us next time as well. That will be really, really helpful. And of course, we are live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Show me some hearts. Little heart shape, things that will be very helpful as well. And of course, if you have not yet followed the channel or subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well as on Facebook, make sure you do that so that when we go live in the future, all right, that is where you can be alerted, all right, and you also don't miss out on our weekly videos that we post on our channels as well. All right, so make sure you subscribe. If you have not yet done so, there should be an icon at the top somewhere. Okay, Ken? Okay, so very good. Let's see. I think we have a lot more of you joining us already. All right, if you have just joined us, welcome to the Ask Me Any Stock session. So very simple. We'll do a quick market outlook. All right, as usual, we'll do a quick market outlook. We look at the S&P 500 index, maybe even the NASDAQ. All right, then we'll move on to the next segment, which will be the stocks, the US stocks that you guys are asking about. So later, guys, when you type in the name of the US stocks that you're asking about, what you want to do is to give us a bit of context, right? So that's why we give you a bit more priority. We give you a bit more, I think, a bit more personalized as well, all right? Rather than just typing one name there, but if you tell us a bit of context, like, are you looking to buy, to sell? You bought last year, last month, last week, what price? That's where I would say at least we understand like what's your intention lah. Does it make sense, fun? All right, Ken. So that's where we'll cover the US stocks that you are asking about. Okay, Ken. And at the end there'll be three bonus US stocks you want to put in your watch list for more upside. Okay, so let's go ahead to introduce me and my team. So if you have not met before, if this is the very first time you're seeing me, all right, on YouTube or maybe on Facebook, my name is Joey, all right, Joey Choy, top tier advisor, trader in Philip Securities, where I'm a broker, and I've been doing this more than 15 years now. So my forte is pretty much in stocks, all right? Singapore stocks, US stocks, we do a bit of Hong Kong stocks as well. But pretty much we have been using what we call this strategy that I call the one good trend strategy. We have what we call a 7-step checklist. We have a tool that we can utilize as well called the One Good Trend Pro indicator to guide us on entry as well as on exit. And that's the very same tool that we'll use today, and same thing like all our other sessions as well, right? To analyze your stocks. Okay, Ken? So that's what we'll do today. And so that's me, right? Pretty much, specializing in stocks, right? So if you're looking at stocks, especially US stocks today, you are in the right place. So let me just go introduce to you my team member. I have with me my team who has been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now. So let me just go to introduce like maybe Z first. Z, all right, Z is one of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities, conducting our group coaching sessions for our graduates, our one-on-one calls with our mentees, and also assisting our teams, portfolio manager with an 8-figure portfolio management business. And Z is also what we call a chartered market technician, basically an expert in charts, all right? And that's where I do consult her as well on certain price actions. And, Z, of course, is very familiar with the entire One Good Trend strategy. So let me pass on the mic maybe to Z just to share a little bit on herself. Z, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Joey. Hi, morning, everybody. My name is Z, like what Joey have mentioned. So, in a summary of what he just explained about CMT and everything, it just basically means that I like to look at charts, right? And when I look at charts, I don't like to be overly complicated, and that's where the 1GD Pro indicator, right, comes in very handy, right? Because that is something that is simple and it's repeatable, and it's something that you can turn on and off and see it yourself as well, and to apply it together with our 1GD framework, right? So we will try to cover as many US stock as possible today. You know, from you guys in the chat, right? I believe a lot of you guys have also been watching the US market, you know, and it has been quite volatile, right? Especially in certain sectors, especially the AI, especially the semicon, right? So later, hopefully, you'll be able to cover some of your stocks, right? And then I'll pass my time back over to Joey, right? So that he can also introduce DJI as well.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So let me introduce to you another of my team member who is joining us well, DJI, right over here. One of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities, serving our thousands of clients, our broking clients, assisting our teams, group coaching, one-on-one calls, also assisting our teams, portfolio manager as well. All right, and DJI has a special interest in what we call candlestick, and I do consult him as well. In terms of like some special candlestick pattern bars and all that, right? So let me pass on the mic to Jai just to share a little bit of himself, right, Jai?
All right, thank you, Joey. So for those who don't know me, I'm Jai over here, and I've been assisting Joey with operations, client servicing, and also trade execution since 2023. So it has been more than I think 2-3 years, and I've been supporting the team and the clients along the way. So I think like what I mentioned, today's session will be focusing on the US market, and some of the sectors has been slightly more volatile. And I believe if you guys are interested in the US, I mean you guys should be monitoring and should be aware of it as well. So I think some investors are also quite cautious about how the economic conditions is or the direction of the Federal Reserve moving forward. So I think let's take this opportunity to go through the chart together for today's session, and also understand how the market has been reacting to recent developments, and maybe we can identify potential setups and opportunity ahead as well. So I think with that, I'll pass back my time to Joey to cover the US market.
All right, thank you so much, Jai. So there we are, guys. Three of us over here today. Bervin is still on reservists and army, right, serving the nation. So probably joining us the next few sessions. All right, Ken. So let's get started. Just a quick disclaimer, as usual. Okay, whatever that's being shared today, right, by me and my team is just for education purposes only. So please do your own due diligence. I'm not asking you to buy or sell anything. We're just sharing with you guys our approach, our framework, the structure that we're using, the tools that we're using, and you decide on your own actions. Cool. All right, Ken. So let's go to cover what we call the markets right now very clearly. I have what we call the S&P 500 index, right? Just type of M for markets, guys. If you want me to cover the markets very quickly, all right, M for markets. For those of you who have just joined us, welcome to our Ask Me Any Stock session. We have just only got started, all right, and we'll be talking about the markets right now. The S&P 500 index, pretty much the top 500 companies, tracks, I mean, pretty much is tracked by the S&P 500 index. So I think that's the index that a lot of people are looking at as well. People could also trade what we call the ETF, right? The SPY ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index. Let's see, right? Markets, M, Eileen, market, M for market, very good. So let's talk about the markets very quickly. So S&P 500 index, you can see that we are now at 7,584, right? 7,584. So you can see that I've already turned on what I call the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So I have these two right over here, the One Good Trend Pro indicator, whereby, if you look at a normal chart, and that's what most people actually look at, right? They look at the chart, the price chart, there's green, there's red color candlestick, and it is just like that, right? And most people don't know what to do, right? You can draw like a dozen lines right over here, but most people get lost, right? But for us, we don't really draw too many lines, all right? In fact, we just need to tick a box to turn on certain things, all right? And then we see, right? And then we analyze it, right? Very simplistically, all right? So how we do it, very simple. We could turn on a few moving averages just to gauge the trend direction, all right? So I've turned on 3 moving averages, the blue 200 days moving average, the red 100 days moving average line, and the green 20 days moving average line. So the red and blue line kind of give me an idea of the longer term trend of any counter, all right? Whether is it the market or a stock, well, the long-term trend has been up. How do we tell that? Well, very simple. You can see the red line is pointing up. The blue line also pointing up, right? So 100 days moving average above the 200 days moving average, red above the blue, both pointing up. I would say the long-term trend has been up since last year for the entire S&P 500. All right, the green line, that's where we actually look at what we call the short-term trend. So the green line can be up, but can also be down. All right, you can see that when the green line starts to point down, then I would say the short-term trend is down. All right, so that was what happened in March when the US-Iran war started, right? And then of course somewhere in like last year when we had tariffs and all that, you can see the green line also start to turn down, right? So even though the long-term trend was up, but the short-term trend was down, right? So we don't want to get in when the short-term trend is down lah. We want to get in when like both of them are up lah. Make sense? All right, and that's where you can see when the green line turns up, there we go. Same thing when the green line turns up, there we go. We saw a very massive reversal. So for the S&P 500 index, I mean, if you have been following the news, I mean, let me just do a quick recap. Essentially, US-Iran war started somewhere around March, all right, end of Feb, and then that's where the market sold off quite a fair bit. There was the first round of talks in Pakistan that went through, all right, but there was no deal being made yet, right? So most people are expecting like a deal soon. I think that's where the market have seen quite a very strong reversal, all right? Over the past few weeks, Trump has mentioned that a deal is potentially being made. However, the past few days, there was a little bit of seesaw, some tension between, Israel and also Lebanon. All right, we have the Hezbollah militia as well there, kind of like firing missiles. So kind of like escalated a little bit. Right, drones were being shot down by Kuwait as well. Iran kind of launched like drones and missiles into Kuwait. I think injured a few people as well. Right, so escalated a little bit, but at least there was some talks still ongoing. I think the main thing about a deal is that Trump would want the deal to be made first, right? Without like Israel and Lebanon in the picture, right? You just want to deal with Iran first, and then of course the whole nuclear program in terms of Iran surrendering or giving up its enriched uranium as well to be part of the deal, but they're still ironing out the details, right? So it's a bit of back and forth, right? Almost made, then not made, made, then not made, right? So that's why we're seeing a bit of weakness. But overall, I think the market, you can see that it's been pretty positive. We have already reversed, right? In case you don't know whether it's reversed or not, we've already reversed from the low we have seen somewhere in end of March or April, all the way up. We have even broken the 7,000 psychological resistance, right, for the S&P 500 index right over here. So the market has already turned bullish. We have not only just reversed and then stay there. We have reversed and broke to a new high, all right, and even attempting to push even higher. Does it make sense, right? So it has already been bullish, right? Of course, doesn't mean bullish means you'll go up every single day. Like, a few days you will come back down, a bit of profit taking, a bit of consolidation. And I think that's, healthy as well. That's sustainable as well. And that's what we want to see as well, right? It'll be very scary if you just keep on going up and up and up, right? But right now, I think we are maybe seeing a bit of a consolidation. So like rested in like April, up, rested, maybe now up, maybe now resting a little bit more, all right? Which is okay. So I would say that right now, before I even talk about the levels, right, what I could do is to turn on the One Good Trend Pro indicator right over here. So the very first box, and that's what I turn on, all right? For any stocks, any asset classes, in seconds, it gives me bullish and bearish signals, right, to guide us on entry and exit. On top of that green, red, and blue line, which we talked about, the trend, right? So that just gives us another confirmation in terms of it being aligned with the trend or not. All right, so let's turn it on, pump, and there we go. Right, so you can see that for S&P 500 index, I mean, every time we get a like bearish signal right over here, that's where you want to be careful. You can see it starts going all the way down. When the bullish signal appears, all the way up. All right, in somewhere in March, February, same thing. The US-Iran war started. We got two bearish signal. All right. However, as I say, the reversal has started. What sparked the reversal? We have covered in our previous AMAS session as well. That was actually not one, but two. One GT bullish signal that got triggered, right? The first one on the 8th of April, 15th of April, another second bullish signal came out as we broke the, as I said, the 7,000, and we have pushed even higher. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, so we have turned bullish already. Of course, this bullish signal have guided us to write the reversal. And of course, it's gone up a little bit more as well. All right, so I would say that support have been a little bit higher. So 7,000 would be what we call a very key support level, right? If we consolidate above that new support, so resistance turn support. That's a good thing. All right. In fact, I actually expected it to like, consolidate a little bit, rest a bit, then go up, then rest a bit, then go up. But you can see that after resting for like about 1 week in April, we started to push higher already, right? So the market is like attempting to go even higher. So support level, I would say from 7,000, it's gone higher, maybe to 7,002, maybe to 7,350. But over the past, I would say, 1 week, I think it's gone even higher, right? Maybe right now, support will be, the 7,500. That would be a key level for the market. Look at this, right? So that was where we were. A bit of selling came back. We retraced back down. Somewhere last week as well, we broke above it. And we're still kind of like above the 7,500 level. So right over here, seems like 7,500 is a decent psychological support level as well. In fact, last night, I think we went to a low of around like 7,516. All right. Then you can see buyers started to come back. People start to bargain hard. And we push up all the way. And then we close 7,584. Make sense? Right. So this kind of like, give us another indication that 7,500 would be a temporary support for now. And it is also what we call a psychological level as well, right? I think upside, maybe resistance, if I can draw a resistance. So it's only like a week, so we need a bit more confirmation, but maybe about 7,620, 7,620 seems like, 7,600 to 7,620, right? Some sellers have came back right around there, all right? So that could be what we call a short-term consolidation range for now. So I think that, it all boils down to whether a deal is being made in between US and Iran. All right. Of course, it has really rebounded by quite a fair bit due to discussions, due to people kind of expecting that it will eventually go through. Okay. So if a deal is being made, I think you just remove all the uncertainty. That's where things will be more certain. That could be a catalyst for the market to be even more bullish as well. All right. So this is the S&P 500 index. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones right over here. All right. So if you have been following the news for the Dow Jones, well, last night finally came out in the news, record high. Finally, right? We broke to a new high for the Dow Jones. So Dow Jones has been a bit slower compared to the S&P 500 index. So let me just go ahead very quickly. You see that I've already turned on the bullish and bearish signal. Right? Turn it off. Nothing. Blur. Right? Turn it on. Clarity, right? Know exactly what to do, whether to buy or not to buy, when to get in, maybe when to get out also, right? So Dow Jones, same thing, couple of bullish signals, all the way up, bullish signals, all the way up, bullish signals, all the way up, right? March, bearish, US-Iran war started, we came down. So when we see a bearish signal, same thing like all the stocks that we'll be going through later, get out, take some profit, don't need to rush, and so kanchong to get in, right? I mean, just relax first, all right? Be a bit more patient, right? But you don't wait until Christmas come already, bullish signal come out already, then you're still waiting, right? You must also know when to stop waiting and then get in. Does it make sense? All right. So when do we get in? Well, we get in if we do see like a bullish signal. So that's for the market, right? That's for the market. So we see a bullish signal. But one thing I want to clarify is that doesn't mean we get a bullish signal, means we now just buy also, because a bullish signal is just one step of my checklist. All right, we have based on the one good trend strategy, we have a 7-step checklist, right? Not one step, then you got bullish signal, you just anyhow go and buy, then cannot right? We have 7 steps. So if you have 4 out of 7, right, then it's a buy trade, it's a high conviction trade setup. So when we get a bullish signal, plus maybe the long-term trend is already up, plus you can see the green line that was going down, right? Also start to turn, then we have 3 steps now. So if you have one more step, that's where you'll be quite solid. Does it make sense, Bar? So as I say, guys, today, sorry, I don't have time to explain the whole 7-step checklist to you, but if, guys, you want to find a bit more about the entire one good trend strategy, all right, and about how we have a tool like this, the One Good Trend Pro indicator, not just to guide us to get in, but also when to get out, all right, or maybe when not to buy, not to get in. Attend a free webinar. We don't have a webinar next week. I think we have one webinar next week, next Tuesday. So the link is right in the chat. Click on it. Maybe let me just go to show you guys. So click on the link in the chat. In fact, when is the next webinar, right? So we have just decided to open up one more slot, all right? This is not my full-time job. We don't really do this every single week or month, right? But I think a lot of people are asking, can we just open up one more slot? So we are going to do it, right? So the link is right in the chat. Click on it. You'll come to this page right over here. Attention, expiring traders and investors who want to dominate the market. the stock market in 2026, right? How to 3x your portfolio with my one good trend strategy, without any degree, all right? Even if you're new, you've just started, well, go ahead. This is what we'll be covering, all right? So discover a simple tool, the One Good Trend Pro indicator that we're using as well to identify the top 1% of winning stocks in seconds, when to buy, when to sell. So I actually going to cover when do we want to go ahead to buy and sell the stock as well, in terms of like the pulling out the top 1%. So it doesn't mean you just plot a stock and then you see a bullish signal, means you buy. First of all, before you even do that, you want to filter out the top 1% of winning stocks, right? Then you know when to buy and sell that top 1%. Does it make sense, one? All right, so that is the webinar right over here. I think we have it on the 16th of June. So next Tuesday, next Tuesday, right? 7:30 p.m. Link is right in the chat. All right, enter your details, your name, email, contact number. We'll cover 3 secrets, as I say, when to get in, when to get out, how to filter out the top 1% of stocks. This is the link. All right, click on it. You'll come to this page over here. All right. Okay, so that is the S&P 500 index. So team, just place the link in the chat again. All right, just make sure there's 2 links. All right. Okay, very good. Now let's go to see the Dow Jones right now. All right, Dow Jones again. You can see that past 1 week we have kind of like broken the 51,000. Right. So 50,000, I would say, would be a very key psychological resistance level. Right. We were right over here in February before the US-Iran war. We hit it there, went above it for like 3 days, then went below it, right? So 50,000 is a key psychological resistance level, right? Over the past 1 week plus, right? You can see that we broke above that 50,000 psychological resistance for the Dow Jones, right? And that is a sign of strength, right? Because even before the US-Iran war, right, we couldn't break above it, right? We then go up and come back down, go up, come back down, right? And then after that, we got bearish signal, US-Iran war started, then we went down, right? But the past 1 week, 2 weeks, we got a bullish signal, we broke above it, but you don't break above, then come back down, then not counted lah, right? But you break above it, you stay above it, the next few days, you see a couple of bullish candles above it, then good lah, all right? That means there's signs of strength, there's signs of momentum. And if you look at what we call the long-term trend, I mean, it's been up since last year. Look at the red and blue line, we'll talk about it, right? The green 20 days moving average line was up, maybe flat a bit, and now also starting to point up, right? So we have seen strength in the US market. I would say since April, the strength is still continuing. I would say anything above that 50,000. So this 50,000 would now be what we call a new psychological support level, right? And over the past few days, right, not past 1 to 2 weeks, but over the past few days, not only 50,000, it seems like we are attempting to break the 50,100 level, right? You see, we kind of like broke it, and past 1 week, we are kind of like hovering above the 50,100 level. In fact, yesterday was like 50,000. In fact, yesterday was like let's see, right, 51,567. All right, so we are kind of like attempting to break above that 51,000 level, and kind of like still staying above as well to a new record high. So overall, market is still bullish in my opinion. All right, of course, this is the market. If you look at stocks, we want to know certain stocks can be doing really well, certain stocks can be doing really bad as well. All right, so doesn't mean the market is bullish means everything will go up lah. Right, of course, there's some stock which is also market go up, that stock also can go down one lah. Also, you must know what stocks to also focus on lah. Can, but overall, if you're looking at the market general in perspective, still bullish. All right, US, I would say pretty much the play is on the, of course, a bit of weakness in the past few days due to some technology sector selling down. All right, but I think the AI play is still here. The technology sector is still there. Semiconductor stocks are still in play. All right, and even the financials are still doing well as well in the US. Okay, so that will be what we call the market, right? The market, the S&P 500 index, even the Dow Jones. So attend the free webinar, guys. If you want to find out a bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy, the link is right in the chat. So now let me go ahead to pick the very first stock for today, guys. So give me some time, guys. I have not looked at what we call the chat yet, but let me just go ahead to pick the very, very first stock for today. Let's see. Okay, let's see, right? So go into, guys, to type in the chat the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on, right? So we are moving on to the next segment, guys, after covering the market. So this is the segment that I think a lot of you are excited about, right? So as I say, a lot of you are typing in the chat already. I'm going to go through one by one. I'll pick the very first stock for today. All right. And thanks for giving us a bit of context. I think a lot of you are, giving us quite a bit of context. You spend the time and effort to type, quite a bit about your stock, when you buy, and then, like, is it going to go up? And some of you maybe even have access to our tools as well. You're looking at the signal as well. All right. Very good. Okay. So let's pick the very first stock for today. Let's see, right? Maybe I'll just choose the very first stock today by N2. All right. What is a good entry for Marvel? Marvel, please. All right. Thank you so much. Marvel. Let's take a look at Marvel. 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 I believe that would be Marvel Technology. All right. And the code would be MRVL. Let's take a look at Marvel Technology. 1, 2, 3. Click on it. Wow. Not too bad, huh? Marvel Technology, right? Definitely one of the tech stocks in the US. I'm not too sure what price. Okay, so maybe you're looking at entering the stock, right? Marvel, $316. Now, what do you guys think about this stock? Type in the chat, guys. This stock, what do you guys think about it? Is it more like down or more up, right? Is it type U for up, D for down? What do you guys think about this stock, right? Up or more down? U for up, D for down. Let's take a look at what many of you are thinking about this stock right now for Marvel Technology. That's asked by N, all right, NQ. All right, let's see, right? John up, Ghostwriter up, Darren up as well, Raja as well, up, Jasmine up, very good. I think all of you are saying it is pretty much up as well. All right, why is it up? Well, I think all of you have seen what we call the bullish signal. So Marvel Technology would be, I think let's take a look at what the company is doing. All right, you can see right over here. You can put it out, and let me just go to see this, right? So Marvel Technology engages in the design, development, and sale of integrated circuits, right? They do what we call data processing units. Some of you who are in the semiconductor space will know these terms, fiber channel, HDD, storage accelerator, right? So maybe a little bit a play of AI, a little bit of play on AI as well, tech sector kind of play, right? And you can see that it has been really strong since like March, right? Since March. Look at this, right? We got two, not one, but two 1 GT bullish signal. So the first bullish signal came out on the 6th of March, 25th March, another came out, and 1 week later, you could see that we kind of like broke above this resistance, right? The $100. So we broke the $100, and from 100, we have, push up all the way to $316 already. So very, very strong rally. I mean, from the bullish signals to now, I would say it is like a 267% in like 2 months plus only. Also very strong entry. If you have seen the bullish signals, you got alerted to it, all right, and you rode it, you would be sitting on a gain of 267%. All right, okay, but of course now doesn't mean now cannot buy. Of course now it's a bit more expensive already, right? But doesn't mean it cannot go up more, right? There could still be more upside. Let's take a look at what N is asking. So what could be a good entry for Marvel? So what we could do is very simple, right? We got bullish signals. The short-term trend is up. Look at the green line is up, maybe flat a bit, then now pointing up as well. Long-term trend already up. We can turn on another very powerful feature from the One Good Trend Pro indicator, and that will be what we call the trailing support and trailing resistance. So you can see, right, when we got the first or second bullish signal popping out in March, we got this trailing support line right over here. Okay, let me just go to remove the moving averages, right? This will be clearer. You can see that the trailing support line has popped up, and it has been following Marvel as it moves up since March, all right? But it don't follow too closely. It gave it the space to breathe. Every time we near the trading support, you can see some bargain hunting came back, and we started to push a little bit higher. So as long as we stay above the trailing support level, I would say that the uptrend is pretty much intact. We've given it the space to move, hopefully even higher. All right, so we give it the volatility allowance to breathe, right? We are above it. It's good. And obviously, right now, you can see that we are still above the trailing support after about 2 months, we're still above it, right? And then you see got some space, right? There's still some space between the candlestick, the price, and the trailing support. So why got space? As I say, got space because we give it the space, right? We don't want to follow too closely, right? So if you're above it, you are fine. Okay, so let's go back to your question, right? What could be a good entry? So of course, the best entry would be, if you have entered right away here, when it was like, 90 something or $105 when we broke the resistance, we got bullish signals. That would be the best, right? There will be more than 200% gain. But let's say you never entered, right? It's gone up. Doesn't mean you cannot buy, right? It still looks okay, just that it's gone up already. Okay, it's a bit more expensive, but it doesn't mean that there could there cannot be more upside, right? Like for example, let's say we have got bullish signals, it went all the way to here, and then it was like a 90 from here to here. Let's say it was like 165. It was an 88% gain, right? So 88%, most people think, wow, very expensive already, wow, very high already, better sell already, right? But 88% or 90%, next month can become 200%, right? It can still go up another leg as well, right? So there's no such thing as too high or too low or what, right? Basically, as long as all factors all point to more upside, you continue riding, right? But don't anyhow enter as well. What could be a good entry? So a good entry, I would say, would be preferably, right, based on the one good trend strategy near what we call the trailing support. So this is what we call, I would say, a trailing support level right over there, all right, right over there. 240 to 250, I would say that's where some bargain hunting can come back again. So that's what we call a trailing support, right? On dips, you can accumulate near the trailing support. Okay, preferably if it goes down there, right? Like what we've seen, if it goes down there, like over here, right? If it goes down there, great. That is where it will be a bit cheaper, right? A bit more attractive. Okay, that's where I would say can be a good entry. But here's the thing, right? Doesn't mean you want it to go down means it will go down, right? Sometimes it never go down, right? Because it's strong, right? Everybody also want to buy, right? So, it never really go down to the trailing support. So we might have to buy a little bit higher, all right? And that's what we call above the horizontal support level. So I would say the horizontal support level would be slightly higher. So it's only a few days. I mean, you can see that on 3 days back on Tuesday, pump, we broke the resistance, went all the way up. If I can draw a resistance, I think that's very clear. The 320. So don't try to buy near 320 because 320 is where we have seen selling. So if you go and buy at 318, 319, then that's where we could see sellers coming back again. All right, unless the 320 lifts off, it breaks above it. Okay, fine. But right now, I think 320 would be what we call a resistance level. So potential entry could be what we call maybe a near-term support. All right, we need a bit more days, but over the past few days, seems like the range is like 280 to 320, right? 280 to 320. So that could be what we call a near-term $40 kind of range. If it does near 280, I think that's where we have seen last night some buying pressure have came out as well. So I think overall it looks good. Uptrend intact. Bullish signals that came out in March still in play. Moving averages in terms of the long-term trend, the short-term trend still looks good. We're above the trailing support. There could still be more legs to this rally, especially if the 320 resistance level actually gives way. All right, so I hope that helps. And all right, so that's the very first stop for today. Good entry for marble. I hope I've given you a context of some of the key levels to watch for a potential entry. Now, let me go to pass on the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock. Jia, yours. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering our Marvel. I think this counter has went up quite a lot recently and have got a lot of people's interest as well. So the next counter that I'll be covering on will be actually somewhat related to tech as well. Just give me a sec. Okay, you'll be on Broadcom. I think there was 2% asking on Broadcom. I think James. No, kindly share about Broadcom. I bought at 400. Now thinking whether the uptrend is still intact after the sell down last night. Can keep or sell at what resistance price? Then I think someone else was also asking about Broadcom. Genevieve, I saw 1 GT bearish on Broadcom last night and also went below the trailing support. So I exited. But this morning, the bearish signal disappeared. Do I re-enter? Okay, so maybe let us look at Broadcom and where is the support and resistance and what to do with Broadcom. So let me just hide this so that you guys can see my chart. So I think Broadcom previously was showing a lot of strength. Back then, you can see that the moving averages for the long-term wise, the 100 days and the 200 days was all pointing up. Just that since last year September to actually this year April, it was kind of consolidating between that 310 level to that 410 level. So it was about that 100 range. It was trading around this range. Then you can see that prices actually broke above that 310 back in September last year, went up close to that 400 or 410, came back down to test this 310 level. Just recently actually broke below a 310 for a few days, but managed to stay above. And afterwards, after the first 1GT bullish signal appears, it start to show more strength and went up even higher. Second 1GT bullish signal appeared just I think next day. You see afterwards, the moving averages start to point up, and it broke above this 400 and 410 resistance level. So just recently in April, you can see that prices, if you have to zoom in, you can see that actually prices previously was kept under this 410 level, couldn't break above, came back down to test the support. Just recently, it broke above this 410 in April 2020, 22nd of April. And afterwards, prices managed to stay above this level, or has been trading around this level, about 400 to 410 level. And just recently, it broke above a 10 resistance. Just give me a sec. Let me change it to green. And there was previously there was a 10 resistance near this 440, and it managed to break above and went close to that 500 psychological resistance level. So I think previously it went up close to the 500 level. There was some profit taking, and earnings actually came out just I think the day before on Wednesday, 3rd of June. So just the day before. Afterwards, prices actually came down yesterday when it started to trade. So can see that it went close to the resistance of 500, couldn't break above, and because of earnings, I believe due to the future outlook of the company, the sentiment wasn't very good. That's why there was a pullback, but it pulled back to the support of 400 and 410. And if you were to turn on the trailing support, like what Genevieve have saw it, I think prices actually break below that trailing support. Actually, there was a 1GT bearish signal that appeared during the trading day. But when we see that price, when it closed, it actually closed slightly above the trailing support, where the trailing support accounts for the volatility of this stock. When it closed above, it's still in a sense 1GT, the 1GT bullish signal is still intact. But we might want to closely monitor for these few days, because it's actually very near this trailing support, whether it's able to stay above this trailing support for the next few days. But if you look at it, the horizontal support and the trailing support is around that 410 to 420 level. Overall, if you look at the trend wise, uptrending, 100 days, 200 days are both uptrending. This could actually be a buy zone that you can consider to enter if you're looking to buy into Broadcom. So Genevieve, if you previously secure some profit, I think 400 and 410 might be still a good potential entry level if you are considered to enter. But must to make sure you have a stop loss plan if prices start to fall below the trailing support of 417 around there, or if it breaks below that 410 and start to show more weakness, then maybe you might want to have a stop loss plan. But overall, if you look at it, Broadcom, the long-term trend is still intact. It's just that the short-term wise, just because of yesterday's, after the earnings, it started to show a bit of weakness. You can see that the 20 days moving average is starting to flatten. But if the next few days, prices still manage to stay above the 410 to 420 level, that could be a potential entry level, and the upside could be towards that 500 psychological resistance level. So I think that's a quick one for Broadcom. Hopefully that answers your question, James. So I think after the sell down yesterday, the long-term strength is still there, but you bought it at 400, which is close to where the price is now at. If prices are able to stay above that 410 to 420 level, maybe you still can keep. But if prices break below, you might want to have a stop loss plan. Or if prices start to recover and show more strength, 500 could be a resistance level that you might consider to take some profit. And I think for Genevieve, you secured some profit hopefully when you exited. If the next few days prices manage to stay above 400, if you want, you can consider re-enter. Just that make sure to have a stop loss plan in mind as well if prices start to show more weakness. Yeah, so basically that's for Broadcom. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jai. Okay, let me share my screen over here. And the next stock that I'll be covering will be called Ring Central, right? By Food Lover. Hi, Food Lover. I think I recall your username sometime back, right? But I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so let's talk about Ring Central, right? So I was just kind of like quickly looking through it, what actually is this stock about, right? So basically, this stock is definitely in the technology sector, but it's more towards the software, right, under technology sector. But overall, you said I assume you bought Ring Central, right? And you're asking whether can you continue to hold or you are thinking about buying more, right? But not too sure at what price do you buy, and also like how much do you buy, whether do you do your risk management and position sizing, right? But let's take a look at it together. All right. Okay, so first thing first for Ring Central, right? I mean, we don't have to look at the chart too far back, right? Maybe just like 1 year. It is actually like that more than sufficient information for us to take a look at the overall broader trend, right? So as you can see, before 2026, prices was kind of like just going sideways, consolidating sideways, right? And you can see the signals, right? Multiple 1GT bearish flip to bullish, then bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish. So it was just going sideways, right? And you can see the moving averages in terms of the trend wasn't very clear yet. It was all also flattening out, just kind of heading sideways, right? Only somewhere during February or March, it started to show some interest, right? Buyers started to return. And that's where we got 21GT bullish signal. And that is where, right, we also started to see the trend gaining more momentum. How do we actually see that, right? Look at the moving average. The green line, right, started to point up pretty steeply. And subsequently, the longer term, which is the red and blue, right? At this point in time, it does look like the red might attempt to cross below the blue, right? And if it does cross below the blue, of course, not so good. It means that the longer term trend is starting to turn down. But it did not, right? In fact, it actually bounced off the blue line, right? It touched the blue line and then it bounced off, and now all three of them are actually kind of like heading upwards, right? So not too bad, right? It kind of seems like from a sideways, it is starting to get more momentum, right? And the trend is starting to turn up. And let's take a look at where are we at now, right? So as of yesterday, right? You can see that 20 days moving average has started to point downwards, right? Actually, not just yesterday. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think about 5 days ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Sorry, 4 days ago, right? You can see it started to show some weakness in terms of the short-term trend, and price has started to pull back as well. Profit taking probably happened now, and you can see price actually pull back and it closed at 44.03, right? And what do we have in terms of the signal, right? We actually got a 1GT bearish signal, not a bullish signal, right? Bearish signal. But remember, when we always talk about signal, right? What does it tell us? We don't just purely look at the signal on its own, right? Like what Joey mentioned earlier on. We don't see like, hey, there is a bullish signal, immediately we buy. There's a bearish signal, immediately we sell, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to look at the bigger picture, because the bullish and bearish signal is just one of the confirmation that we look out for, right? So based on this is what we know now. There is short-term weakness. Long-term pretty much still looks okay. There is 1GT bearish signal as well. And price closed at 44, right? And in terms of support and resistance, where can we spot some support and resistance? I would say that the immediate support looks to be around this 42, right? Somewhere around this 42. Why? Because you see from February all the way to May, right? Previously, I was saying the consolidation happened from here to here, right? 2025, May all the way to March here, broke out above, and then some sort of sideways pattern, some sort of sideways consolidation happened once again, but higher, right? Higher consolidation phase. So 33 to about 42, right? And this was where, prices broke out above, support, buyers came in to support the prices. When it reached around this 42, right? Hit this 42, selling pressure came in, price back down. Once again here, look at the candlestick, right? It tells us bears are actually taking control at this level back then, right? So then we know that 42, around 42, that is where the support of buying pressure could return, right? Because 1GT bearish signal came out, price broke below again, this 42, turning it to become a resistance. Then subsequently, buying pressure came back very strongly, and now we are still holding above it. So I would say that 42 perhaps would be one of the immediate support level that definitely you might want to take note of. Have some alerts being set near this 42 or maybe slightly even below this 42, because I'm not too sure when you bought it, right? If you have bought it when the 1GD bullish signal actually came out, maybe not the first one, maybe didn't catch the first one, maybe the second one, right? Maybe somewhere here. Are you still sitting on profits? Definitely you're still sitting on profits, right? About 30% profits, which is still great, right? But the thing is that we want to make sure to protect our profits so that it doesn't go back all the way down to your entry price, then you break even. No point, right? No point. So now you're still sitting on profits, right? So we want to protect profits, especially so we know that when 1GT bearish signal appear, it means that more selling pressure has returned, right? And price has started to pull back as well. Furthermore, because like what I mentioned, right, I think this stock is actually in the software, under technology in the software, and over the past couple of days, right, or even the past month, I think some of the software stock you have started to see some strength returning, right? But I think over the past couple of days, the software stocks once again has started to see some selling pressure return, profit taking happen. So likewise, I think this is also reflected in this company as well, right? So definitely 42 would be the immediate support you want to take note of, and 48 would be the resistance, right? Because previously tested here, and then again, on this day, right, went up, attempted to break and hold above, but didn't manage to. Next day, price opened even lower, below the 48, right? So if prices manage to rebound back up to the 48, I think that is potentially where you might want to consider to take some partial profits, lock in some profits as well. Nothing wrong, right? Nothing wrong, especially so this is in the technology software sector. And if you're thinking about adding, right, you're thinking about buying more, we want to buy more, but we don't want to anyhow buy as well, right? You want to buy where? Near support zone, right? Near support zone. But near support zone, of course, around 42, like I mentioned, this could be a potential support zone, right? But I think one thing that perhaps you might want to watch out or monitor for is for the 20 days moving average to stop pointing down and to head sideways, and for the price, right, to actually manage to stabilize first. Because now, if you ask me today, tomorrow, like today, next week, can it hold above this 42? I don't know, right? I will also have to see the price playing out to see whether this 42 is able to hold. So that is one support zone that you can look out for, right? To potentially, accumulate some positions on the dip. But of course, the other place that we can look out for would be this, right? If price were to consolidate and break out once again above this 48, but not just break out, but you break out and hold, and we have another new 1GT bullish signal, does it give you even more confirmation that the short term now is actually aligning with the long term, and that's where you get more conviction on a higher probability winning trade? Okay, so that would be, I think, for Ring Central, I think some of the levels, right, the immediate support and resistance that perhaps you want to take note of and see what will actually fit into your plan based on your risk appetite, right? Whether a breakout strategy or you are looking at a pullback strategy, holding back above a support after a retracement, right? But of course, most importantly, at the end of the day, remember, if you're sitting on profits, right, protect your profits and also have your downside risk management plan in place. Okay, so that would be for Ring Central. I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for typing in. I think in the chat we have like so many US stocks. So guys, we'll do our best. We'll do our best. You can see that each time, I think in each session we'll cover like about maybe 10 to 15 US stocks. So we'll do our best, especially a lot of people are asking about it, and we try. But apologies if we cannot cover all of it. It'll probably take like 10 hours or something, right? So let's go ahead to cover right now the next stock, and that would be this company. All right, who is asking? I think a lot of you were asking about this stock, so I thought why not just go ahead to cover it. Let's see who is asking about this stock called Micron Technology. Right, let's see. All right, we have YL for 8,000. You have Micron at $785. Awesome, 785. Now it's 990 some 96. Okay, so you make some money lah. What is a good price to add more? Okay, good. So you are thinking about, so you make money already, but you are thinking to buy some more, is it? Okay, let's take a look at it later as well. We have Reese as well. What about MU Micron? Last night it crossed 1,000 briefly and went down below 1,000. Yeah, it seems like it went to like near 1,001 and then come back down lah. So let's find out as well. Okay, John as well. You sold at 1,060. Wow, not too bad, right? What would be a good level to re-enter? So you sold it and then now you want to buy back again, right? So you sold at 1,060. Not bad, at least you sold and come back down and you feel a bit happy lah. Okay, very good. Let's see. We have Catherine. So someone to buy, some sold, want to buy again, right? Catherine, you bought MU at 700. Wow, not too bad, $700. So now it's 900 plus. Okay, time to sell out or maintain and buy more at current level. I'm not under pressure to sell, but don't want to hold all the way down. All right, so you're making profits, but at the same time you don't want to sell already, then you go all the way up, then you sian, right? So what could be a good level to sell and take some profit, maybe to even buy more? Let's find out. So this is Micron. A lot of you are asking about it. So let's go take a look at Micron right now. So you can see that the price is $996. Before I turn on the bullish and bearish signals like what we do on any single stock, let's just first look at the trend. So Micron has been in our watch list, one of our positions, I mean, since last year. Very clearly, the long-term trend, look at the red line, it's been up, all right? The blue line has been up since the when last year, all right? So it's been a very strong longer-term uptrend. We definitely want to buy and hold stocks like this, all right? Definitely in our watch list, okay? But doesn't mean, the long-term trend is up, means you buy also. Like, we also want to kind of like wait for the short-term trend to turn out, because the short-term trend, like you can see over here, right? If you ask me in January and March, the green 20 days moving average line, it was like flat, right? That means it is a sideways, kind of like a consolidation. We are just moving from, I would say, this resistance, maybe about like 470 to that maybe about 300 level, right? Just going up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? So it was consolidating sideways. So if you ask me over there, probably don't want to buy, because it's like, it's like not doing much, right? It's just like, after 3 months, it's still the same price, okay? We normally want to get in when we see the short-term trend, the green line, kind of like, turning up, now still up, right? So yeah, we want to see the green line turning up and still holding up. That's where it could be a good entry, right? So this is just by looking at the trend. Very quickly, we can take a look at the signal. So on top of the trend, as I say, the very powerful confirmation that we seek is the bullish and bearish signal right over here, all right? And that will be the first box over here. Turn it on. And there we go. So every time, you can take a look at it yourself, right? Every time, we get a bullish signal, there we go, all the way up. Another one over here that was in September, all the way up. So when we get a bearish red color one, then we don't need to rush lah. All right, get out, take some profit if you want. All right, wait for the time to come back in again, right? So true enough, about 1 to 2 weeks later, we got not one, but we got two bullish signal, pump, and then after that, you can see for yourself what happened now. All right, we have gone up by about 146% in about 1 month plus, and counting, right? So it looks pretty good still, right? So let's take a look at what could be the deal now, all right? Could it be a good entry? Could you do you want to take some profit and get out and then sell everything because you're scared you come all the way down, all right? What could happen? Now let's take a look. So overall, I would say that this stock has been pretty bullish. It has been bullish since April when we got the bullish signals. It is still playing out, all right? Even though it has gone up by 147%, but there could still be more legs to the rally as long as all the key support levels are holding, right? So back to your question, right? When will be a good entry? Okay, Risk as well. What about MU looking to buy? Okay, we have MU. What is a good price to add more? So I think a lot of you are looking to add more. What could be a good support level? But before I talk about the support, what could be a resistance, a key resistance for now over the past week? I think that will be 1,100 level. That was where, over the past few days, we hit it there. Sellers came back and we retraced back. Now, in fact, last night we kind of like sold off a little bit, right? Nothing too scary. I mean, just kind of like retrace and push away from the 1,100 level, all right? Support for me would be, I would say, a strong support, because only a few days that we push up and then we near 1,001, right? So I think we need a few more days to play out to see a support level, right? So I think a better support would be somewhere near the 900. Why 900? Because 900, you can see that was last week we hit it there. We saw what we call a long lower shadow. 2 days whereby we held above it and we pushed away from the 900 level, and it was a little bit of a resistance level as well below it, and we saw a pretty bullish candlestick, and then ultimately we broke it and we stayed above it, right? Green 20 days moving average line, as I say, has been up. It is still pointing up. So 900 will be what we call a pretty decent support level, right? 1,000, some of you might say, Joey, what about 1,000? Well, 1,000 would be a psychological level. I mean, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000. These are all psychological support and psychological levels that we want to give a bit of weight as well. But over the past 1 day, right, it's not that clear because as I say, it's only 1 day. We can like sold down and we close at 996, right, which is like $4 below 1,000, right? So it's like, you know, not really holding above 1,000 yet. So I think we need a bit more clarity, right, to see if 1,000 would be indeed the support level that have came out, even though it is a psychological level. But you know, let's say, you know, today is Friday, let's say tonight or maybe next week, we go to, you know, 1050, 1020, and then every time we go to 1,000 rebound, then we see a couple of bullish candlesticks. Okay, fine. Then 1,000 would be a new higher support. But because last night, you know, we went and closed below 1,000, like, you know, $4 lower at 996, right? So not that clear. So I think 900 will be what we call a safer, more stable, I would say a more support that we have got a little bit more confirmations that we have stayed above over the past 1 week, right? So that could be a good entry for those of you who are looking to enter, okay? Now, let's take a look at what we call the trailing support as well. Let's turn it on, this box, the third box, you can turn it on. And you can see that this trailing support, once we got the bullish signals popping out in April, right? A trailing support has been following Micron as it moved up, right? When it popped up, it was at $327. Right away, so 327, it pop up, then it went up, then flat, then up, flat, follow, flat, follow, flat, follow. So 327 follow until now become 870. All right, and you can see that it's slightly lower. Why? Because as I said, got space, right? We give it the space, so slightly lower. All right, so as long as we stay above it, that would be a good thing, right? So some of you might, like Catherine, you're asking whether, hey, when should you get out, right? When should you get out and stuff, right? So, you know, I'm not under pressure to sell, but I don't want to hold all the way down, right? So I think it's a very good question as well, because you can, you know, ride and maximize your profits. You can even take some profits near like a resistance, maybe right over here, right? You see 1,001 could be a little bit of a resistance level. So if you want to take some profit, not all, I say some, near 1,100, nothing wrong, go ahead, right? Or maybe if it breaks 1,001 and it goes to 1,005, all right? And you want to take some profit near that 1,005 because that's where some resistance have came back, some selling pressure have came back, by all means, go ahead. That will be the taking profits part. That is the easy part, all right? I mean, that's taking profit more easy, right? But the not easy part, the not so comfortable part will be to get out if you have seen your profit slightly lower, slightly eroded. Why? Because the price have came down a bit, right? So you did not sell right at the top. It came down a bit, and we get what we call a bearish signal. So for example, right now we are above the trailing support, but if we were to go below the trailing support level, like, you know, that's where we have given it the space to be above, right? If you go below it, not so good. That is where we would have what we call a plan. You can have a plan to kind of like, you know, get out, reduce your exposure, stop loss, because that's where if a bearish signal appears, plus the short-term trend also turned down, plus a couple of things we look for, all pointing down, and then you want to have a plan to get out. Does it make sense, Catherine? All right, so you don't want to hold all the way down. But I'm not saying it will happen. I mean, it hasn't happened, right? Just that, you know, if it happens, then you don't want to hold all the way down, right? But if it doesn't happen, then you also don't be so scared. Then you just continue to ride. Make sense? All right, so don't need to guess whether it will happen or not happen. I mean, if it happen, then happen. Never happen, then never happen. Make sense, right? You don't have to predict the market, right? So if it never happens, then you just continue and ride it further, okay? If it continues to move up, let's assume that we break the 1,001. I can tell you, this trailing support will continue to follow, right? Continue to follow it up. I don't know until where, all right? And that is where you can continue to ride it even further, all right? And to maximize your profits while protecting your profits. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, so that is pretty much the entire one good trend strategy. So as I said, I don't have time to cover the whole checklist. All right, we kind of like break it a bit more down. I mean, in terms of a 7-step checklist. So attend a free webinar to learn a bit more. All right, but yep, the link is right in the chat. Team, just place the link in the chat again. Okay, so that will be Micron. I hope you have a clearer picture of what to do. Overall, looks bullish. Let's see when 1,100 temporary resistance will give way. Okay, Ken? Let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock. Jay, yours.
All right, thank you, Joey. So yeah, so those who are interested to find out more about how the strategy or even know how the trading support can guide you in your stop loss or your trading plans, now feel free to attend the webinar. It's free. So like what Joey had mentioned, the webinar will be next week. Next Tuesday, there's no webinar, so it will be on the 16th June. So those who are interested, just feel free to join the webinar. Yep, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering on will be actually on this counter. Just give me a sec. On this counter, Service Now. So I think there was a few asking on this counter. Just give me a sec. I think Ginny, and hopefully you're still here. Can you review Service Now? I just bought at 124. So you just bought it. Not sure, is it just a few days these few days? Yeah. So I think someone else also asking about Service Now. I think Darren, yeah, have a few positions of now at 123. 20 days moving average up, 100 days / 200 days seems to be flattening out. Is there a potential to continue riding the trend up? Two very strong 1GT bullish signal with high volume currently. Okay, and I think last person that was asking about now, Dragon. Thinking of buying now, please advise. So some of you guys have positions, you guys are looking to some advice on whether what to do with the positions that you guys have, and Dragon seems to be looking to enter for this now. Okay, maybe let me just analyze on Service Now how this counter is. So if you look at it wise, just look at a bigger picture for the past 1 year, it's clearly that this counter has been on a very strong downtrend. The 20 days moving average was previously pointing down, 100 days, 200 days are all sloping downwards. And if you were to zoom in to just recently, just the past this year, you can see that prices actually previously was trading around that $100 to 120 range. Okay, maybe just let me remove this trailing support and resistance. Okay, previously it previously couldn't stay above this 125, broke below, then afterwards it was trading around that 100 to 125 range. But then there was a 1GT bearish signal that appeared in March. Then afterwards, 20 days moving average start to show more weakness, broke below that $100 psychological support, turned into a resistance, went down to the 80 support level. So it previously was supported near the 80 level, managed to stay above since April, and just recently in, I think, May, just 1 month back or less than 1 month, it started to show more strength. Which is why you see that the 20 days moving average actually reacted to it and start to show more strength as well. It managed to break above that $100 level, and it was trading above the 100 for the past, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. And just recently, it started to show more strength, broke above that 125 level that it was kept under, but afterwards, prices came close to that 140. It's kind of a psychological resistance level. Couldn't break above, came back down, broke below that 125 again, and now it's trading slightly below that 125 level. And if you were to look at it, overall, the 100 days and the 200 days, these two are still pointing down. So we will say that the long-term wise, it is actually still showing weakness for this counter. It's just that the short-term wise is showing a bit of strength. So where could be for Dragon? So for example, you're looking to buy Service Now. Wouldn't recommend, because overall the long term is still downtrending. It's just that the short term wise, it's kind of showing some strength, potentially some reversal, but we want to wait for more confirmation before we enter. So we always want to ride the along with the trend. So when the moving average just start to point up, start to show more strength, that's when we actually want to enter by then. But then for now, the 200 days and 100 days actually is still kind of showing a bit of weakness. It's still kind of pointing down. We wouldn't want to enter for now. If you are looking to entering for now, wouldn't advise to do that. So for those who actually entered already, you have a position, I think was around that 125 to 123 level. I would say currently it's trading below that resistance level, which is 125. If prices are able to stay above that 125, that'll be good. But if we see a bit of weakness and it start to trade below that 125, the next support level might be back to the $100 psychological support level. Best if prices break above that 125, or even better, break above that 140, which is also near that $200. $200 moving average. If prices are able to break above this 140 and stay above it, that could be a sign of more strength and potential reversal for this counter. But currently, I would say it's still showing weakness. And if we were to turn on the trailing support and resistance, you can see that no, the trailing support is around that 108. So if prices start to show more weakness and break below this 108 and go back to that 100 psychological support level, no, you might see that there might be a 1GT bearish signal that appear. So for you guys that have position in this counter, currently it's kind of trading around your entry level 125 to 123. If no prices start to show more weakness, maybe you might want to have a stop loss plan in mind just in case it start to show more weakness. So I think hopefully that answers the question on service now for those that are looking to buy and those who have position. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jia. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here is something out of the technology, right? And I think it is by Ray Lim, right? So let's take a look at this. I bought OIH at 283, considering to add more. So I was thinking, hey, what is this OIH? So I went to take a look. Okay, so the name itself kind of gave it away, like VanEck Oil Services ETF. So basically, this ETF, it actually tracks the, okay, let's take a look over here, right? It actually aim at capturing the 25 largest and most liquid US listed oil services company. So perhaps I would say when I take a look at it deeper, right, you can see the holdings itself, they are holding all of these stocks based on the weightage, right? So some of them are like drilling companies lah. So all is like oil related lah, right? US largest and most liquid oil services company, right? So I mean, as you guys know, because of the Iran war as well, oil prices remain kind of elevated, right? Especially compared to like 1 year ago. Now, oil prices, even though they pull back, they are kind of still at a range of about $90 over to about $100 over, right? So oil prices definitely still remain elevated, right? And based on these ETFs, I think that also paints a picture that actually in terms of the trend, right, it is still looking pretty strong, right? Especially for this oil services ETF. Right, Ray mentioned you bought at 283. Let's take a look. 283 as of yesterday, price closed at 438. You say you bought at 283. So 283 somewhere around here. Oh, perhaps you bought when the 1GD bullish signal actually came out, is it? And then after that, you capture it all the way to where yesterday price closed. That's about 56%. And wow, congrats. So definitely you are sitting on 56% profits, right? And you are thinking about adding more, which is great, right? When you're thinking about adding more, I think the mindset definitely, first of all, is correct, right? Why? Because uptrend definitely still looks strong. Long term, red and the blue, definitely still strong. Short term wise, I mean, it was actually going up, right? It was going sideways, go up, came down. But if I were to zoom in even more, at least it is not like pointing down. You know, it kind of like point down a bit and then it looks to be flattening out, right? It looks to be flattening out. So still okay, right? So in terms of thinking about adding more, I think that is the right mindset that you want to think about lah. Because typically a lot of times when prices go up, you buy at 283, people don't want to buy anymore at like 400 plus. Like, why? Another $200 more. Why do I want to buy so expensive, right? But I think that is a good mindset to have, especially so if the stock is still in a very strong uptrend and you want to increase your exposure, right? And continue riding the uptrend. So for VanEck, right, we want to think about, if you're thinking about adding more, you want to think about adding more near support levels, right? Once again, always when you think of buying, you want to buy near support zone, right? So based on this, we still have 3 1GT bullish signal that is actually still playing out, right? No bearish signal yet. And in terms of the support and resistance, I think very clearly, I think all of you guys are, even without my help, probably you can also spot the same levels lah. Around, it should be exact, around that level. It won't be exact. Why? Because like we always mention, support resistance is never a specific point, but rather a zone, right? I think if you were to draw yourself, perhaps you will draw around the same as me lah. The support would be probably around this 420, right? Maybe some put what 416, 417, 418, maybe some put 422, but around this level, right? Around this zone, right? Resistance, what about resistance? I think resistance, some of you guys will probably draw maybe somewhere around 450 to 460, somewhere around here, right? So that would be the immediate support and resistance that we are looking at with reference to the current closing price as of yesterday, right? As of yesterday. So in terms of adding more, right? For Ray to add more, is it okay to add more? I would say definitely it's okay to add more, but we want to add near support zones, right? So the support zone, like I've mentioned, somewhere around here, right? Around the 420, right? I think this would be one of the support zone that perhaps you can consider to create some price alert on TradingView, right? So how do you actually create price alert? Very easy. Right click, add alert, right? Add alert, price crossing, maybe you want to set lah, maybe 421, 422, 423, 424, right? And then you just click create, right? If you want, you can type a message as well lah to remind yourself, right? So that is how you actually create a very simple price alert. If price were to head back to that support zone, potentially you can think about adding more position, right? As long as price continues to hold above this 420, right, and consolidate above it with the 20 days moving average just heading sideways, right? I think it's perfectly fine, especially so when oil prices are still remaining elevated, elevated prices, right? And if price were to head to this 460, right over here, I think if you want to take some profits, nothing wrong to lock in your profits as well, because you are already sitting on 56% profits, right? Okay, so but one other thing that I want to bring your attention to, or to make use of in terms of the 1GD Pro indicator, right, is this, right? The trailing support and resistance. So you see, I turn on, turn off, turn on, and then you can see this actually comes out, right? So to reiterate what this trailing support is, right, like what Joey has mentioned earlier on, this is I would say a dynamic support lah. As you can see, when prices go up, this trailing support will also follow the prices as it moves up, accounting for the stock volatility, right? And you can see as long as price continued to hold firmly and stay above this trailing support, right, it is still okay, right? And every time it kind of like go near, you see, it go near this trailing support, right, buyers came in, push price up, right? Here as well, it attempt to go near this trailing support around 360, right? Whereby you see the horizontal support draw around 370, right? Buyers came in again, push prices up. Here, once again, it actually happened. And here, a few days ago, it actually near the trailing support once again. So it actually reaffirms the point that as long as price continue to hold above the trading support, it is still okay, right? It is still okay. And right now, prices is near the trailing support zone, right? With the horizontal support that we have just drawn, this would definitely be the support zone that you want to watch out for if you are thinking about adding more position, right? But if prices is unable to hold, it consolidate, maybe it consolidates sideways, then maybe selling pressure came in, push price back down, and you got a 1GT bearish signal, then perhaps that is where you might want to lock in some of your profits, right? Because why? Selling pressure 1GD bearish signal comes out, which means more selling pressure returning, right? And you are already sitting on profits, and we don't want to let our profits erode, right? Like what Joey mentioned earlier on, that is where you want to actually lock in some profits. Nothing wrong as well, okay? Nothing wrong as well. But overall, good job on this position, right? And thinking about, adding more, even though prices actually went up even higher. Okay, so I think those are the two levels, the immediate levels that you want to take note with for OIH, and also set some price alert accordingly, especially also to protect whatever profits that you are already sitting on. Okay, so that would be OIH. I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much. Z, let's move on to the next one, okay? And that would be a very interesting stock, which I think not too bad. Okay, let me go to pull out the comment. And that will be by Kunav, right? Kunav, I hope you're still over here joining us, right? You're asking about Oracle, all right? The code is ORCL, okay? I bought Oracle at $195 and holding 195, right? Very good. Now it's about $236, so you make a bit of money already, went up a bit, okay? After reaching a peak, price came down. Now hold or add more? Okay, so you already bought, then it went up, you're already making money, but maybe past few days, came down a bit all right? Then should you be scared or not? Or should you sell everything or get out, or maybe go and buy some more, right? Well, let's find out. Okay. So this Oracle right over here, $236. And as I say, let's go to turn on the 1GT Pro indicator very quickly. There we go. Let's turn on the buy and sell signal. So that's what we've been doing, right? Any single stock, any asset classes, turn it on. You get an opinion in seconds. Let's see what it says, all right? So for Oracle, okay, before I take a look at what is happening over the past 2 months, well, I mean, you can see for yourself, every time we got bearish signal right over here. That was in like last year, February, March. If you go and buy, then you get stuck, right? All the way down, go down by 30%, right? Then you wait until the bullish one comes out, then all the way up, right? Then in October, November last year, you tell me you go and buy, then I'll say, for what lah? Be careful. I mean, got 1, 2, then plus 3, then you all the way down from like 300 go down until 140, almost half price, right? You buy, then your 10,000 become 5,000. All right, so we don't buy when we see like a bearish signal plus a few other confirmations like the short-term trend turning down and all that. All right, Ken? Okay, so you got in, Kunaf, you got in at about 195. All right, so you got in 195. Okay, so 195 would be around here, lah, right? So you tell me you got in here, I would say good. But you tell me you got in over here, because here also 195, ma, right? But that was like when it was like coming down. So I don't know whether you got in like last month one or like in January one. You tell me you got in January, then I'll say you're lucky, lah, right? Lucky you managed to come back up. But because by right, we wouldn't want to get in when you see a bearish signal, right? You see 195, you got in there, you go all the way to 140, you're so stressed already, lah, or probably sell everything already, right? So probably don't want to get in over here, right? But if you've got in over the past few weeks, like maybe last month in May, I think it's good because you can see that we actually got not one, but we got two 1 GT bullish signal, right? So that's a sign of strength. In fact, if you look at it previously, 1, 2. Last year in like April also got 1 and 2. All right. And then what happened? We like down, then we all the way up, right? We've got two bullish signals. So it seems like we are doing a little bit of, let me just take this and then paste over here. Seems like we are doing a bit of that, reversal like we have seen last year, right? Somewhere around here, rebounded, bullish signals rebounded. So we are in what we call a reversal right now. So this is a little different from what I covered just now. I think we covered like Micron and some other, which is like, wow, pam, very strong, going to new high, record high, resting, and then going up even higher, right? This one, it was quite weak since like September all the way to March. April then started to wake up a bit. And now is wake up already. Now, maybe going for a jog already, right? I mean, like slowly, moving up already, right? It really reversed a bit already, okay? But it is a bit of a reversal play, not really very strong uptrend and pushing higher like we've seen in Micron and other stocks, right? But it could be a good play, so very good. It could be a more attractive entry as well. So I would say right now for Micron, we are seeing a good support coming out. So let me just go to turn this. Let's take a look. I would say this would be a very, very important support level, right? The 220 psychological support level. Why am I saying that? Well, you can see that 220, it was what we call a support over here. It was a bit of a resistance. We broke above it, retested. Over here, same thing. We broke down the 220 support. It became a resistance level again. And now you can see over the past week, not too bad. Now we have gone above that 220 level, right? 220. Now it's 236. So not too bad. I think anything above 220, right? That is a very key resistance, turn support, turn resistance, right? We've broken the resistance and now it is a new support level. So I think it looks pretty good. Anything above 220 looks good. We could also turn on the trailing support to see what it says. Trailing support, you can see slightly lower around 210. All right. Why is it lower? Because of space, right? We give it the space, right? So slightly lower. Okay. So if it does near 210, fine as well. But seems like not even 210. Seems like, past 1 week, 220 or 225, 226, 227, people start to buy already. Does it make sense, All right. So that could be what we call a pretty good entry. I mean, right over here, anything from 220 to 230 to, around there, that is where some bargain hunting can come out, right? All the way to what level? What is the range? What is the resistance level? Well, that would be this very key psychological resistance. It is none other than 250. So quite easy. So the range is 220 to 250, which is like $30. $30, right? Quite simple, $30, right? So it's like maybe going up and down. And it's good because it's resting a little bit. I mean, we've seen a bit of reversal, right? You can see that we rested here for about like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, right? So now it might rest here for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before breaking. If it does break the 250, great. If it breaks 250, we may even see another bullish signal, all right? And that's where targets could be revised, all right? In terms of the upside, it could be anywhere. So upside-wise, we take a look at it, right? In terms of the reversal, you can see that, as I said previously, we got bullish signal, all the way up. That was the resistance we've seen, somewhere around that 320 to 340, right? So that could be, I'm not saying that it will confirm, like go all the way there. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that if we break 250, it may slowly attempt to close the gap all right, in terms of the upside reversal, all right, from here all the way to maybe 300 first, not so fast to 350 line. I would say 300 first, maybe a bit of a selling pressure. If that gives way, good. Target could be maybe all the way to 314. That is pretty much where we will right over here, all right, in August, September, October. That was where we were. We could see selling coming back again, all right? So that is a resistance level to take note of, right? So I hope could not that answer your questions, right? After reaching a peak, price came down. Yeah, I mean, it reached the peak of 250. I think that's the peak you're talking about, right? Which I think is okay lah. I mean, there's a bit of profit taking, but overall, as long as it stays above 220, it looks pretty intact. It could even be a good entry on any dips near that 220 to 230 new higher support level, right? So that is for Oracle, right? And one thing I want to share, guys, is that you can see that we've been using what we call the 1GT Pro indicator, whereby in a matter of seconds, all right, as I say, I mean, we can turn on the bullish and bearish signals in seconds, right? So I'm going to share with you guys that this is the Pro indicator. This way it's a bit more advanced. You got more things like the horizontal support, trailing support, pump, all the, if I turn on everything, it'll be like, wow, super messy, right? So this is a more advanced one. But what happens is that I do have what we call a light version. It's a simpler version. That's what we call the one good trend light indicator, right? So if you want to test drive the light or the one good trend light indicator for free, yeah, free for 14 days, all right? The link is right in the chat, right? Click on the link, and that's pretty much a simpler version. You can turn on the bullish and bearish signals like what you see over here. You see red color, then please be a bit more patient now. Or you see green one coming out, and then you want to be a bit more, don't wait too long also lah. Make sense, far? So with a light version, the link is right in the chat. Click on it, and that's where you'll come to this page right over here. Let me just show you, right? You come to this page over here. And yeah, the exact trading tool that I use daily to spot winning trades. Now yours, 14 days free. You pretty much get buy and sell signals in seconds, even if you're not a trading expert, right? As long as you're able to see red color bearish one or green color bullish, plus the moving averages, there'll be some trading provided. In fact, we provide more than $3,997 worth of pure money-making training, right, for free, just for saying maybe, just for test driving it for free for 14 days, right? So that's what we're doing, right? Click over here. I want to test drive the 1GT light indicator, all right? So pretty much the link is right in the chat. You come to this page, check out the video. There's a short explanation, and yeah, look forward to see you on the other side. Okay, Ken? So that is Oracle, ORCL, all right? And let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock. Jia, yes.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering Oracle. The next stock that I'll be covering on will be on this counter, Palantir. I think some of you guys are interested in Palantir. I think Jason was asking about Palantir. My average price was 144. Looking to average in, or should I wait? I think someone else was also asking about Palantir. Hopefully, you guys are still here. Henry, PLTR, bought at 148. What to do? So it looks like you guys have position in this counter and thinking of what you guys should be doing for this. So I think Palantir previously was showing a lot of strength. Then back in May, just 1 year back, we can see that moving averages are all pointing upwards. Just that the 20 days moving average sometimes start to show a bit of weakness, but overall the long-term trend is there. And recently, just in last year, October and this December, it actually hit a peak of around at 200 or close to that 210 level. But afterwards, it didn't manage to stay above, or didn't manage to break above this 210 level and start to show more weakness. So I think just now when Joey mentioned about trend reversal, there's from downtrend to uptrend. I think now this is something different. We are looking from an uptrend to a potentially downtrend stock. So you can notice that usually the 20 days moving average will be the one that reacts first. It starts to show more weakness. The 100 days actually start to flatten and show weakness. And finally, you can see that the 200 days actually now start to flatten out as well and start to point down. So if you were to zoom in just recently, for the past just this year, you can see that actually prices is currently consolidating around the 130 to the 160 level. Prices came close to the 130 in Feb, in April, and actually in May, and went close to that 160 in March, and just recently in June. but it wasn't able to break above in June. Couldn't break above, came back down. Now it's actually heading towards that support level of 130 again. But if you were to zoom in, previously moving averages are all pointing up, but now different story. 100 days and 200 days are all pointing down. So it's kind of consolidating sideways for now, but showing a bit of weakness in this counter. 130 to 160, 130 is support, 160 is the resistance. You can see that it was tested quite a few times within this whole year. Since January and Feb, it has been trading around these two range. So now what we want to do is actually we want to monitor closely where this counter might break. Breaking below the 130 support or breaking above the 160 resistance. If prices break below this 130 support, which it was able to stay above for the past, actually close to that 4-5 months, it could be a sign that there might be more weakness in this counter. So if prices start to head down to that 130 support and break below, we might see that there might be more weakness in this counter, maybe back to that $100 psychological support level. So about that, $30 range. If it breaks below, you might see that it might go down back to that $130 $100 psychological support level. So for now, it's still kind of consolidating sideways. If it breaks below 130, it might head towards that $100 psychological level. But if prices manage to bounce off from this 130 again, head towards the 160 again, and if this time it start to show more strength and it breaks above this 160, then we might see more upside towards that 200 psychological resistance level, which previously it was kept under. So if prices in this case break above the 160, you might see it move towards the 190 or even close to that $200 psychological level. So for those who have entered now, maybe around that 148, 144, I believe you guys are in the middle of the support and resistance, but just take note of the key support and resistance level that you guys want to monitor. If prices break below this 130, maybe you guys want to have a stop loss plan in mind, or if prices break above the 160, then that could be a sign of that there might be more upside towards this counter, and maybe if you want, you can ride the wave up towards the 200. So I think that's for Palantir, but for now, it's kind of consolidating between the 130 and 160. So maybe if you want, closely monitor, set an alert if prices break above the 160. You can set alert if prices break above the 160, maybe 164, you'll be alerted that there might be more upside and you can closely monitor. Or if another alert that you can set is below the 130, maybe around that 126 level, if prices break below this 126, you'll be notified that you broke below this support, then you might want to come in and stop loss for this counter. So I think basically that's for Palantir. Hopefully that answers your questions on Palantir, and I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you, Jia. Okay, so the next stock, right, that I have over here is something quite interesting. Actually, I never heard of this stock before, by Simon. Right, Simon is asking about, please look at RDW, breakout consolidation, 11 May, $11, but get up on 26th of May to 21, now back down to $21, nearer to 21. Is it overextended already, given that 20-day MA is still pointing up? What would be a good plan, and what's the kind of like entry point, right? Wow, thank you for being so detailed, right? And even giving us the date and the gap up, gap down, right? Then I was thinking, hey, what is this red wire? Let me take a look at it, right? Let me just hide the comment first, all right? So this red wire, I think for those of you who don't know, right, you can see over here, it is actually in the electronic technology sector, and then it is specifically in the aerospace and defense. So in layman term, right, they actually build infrastructure for space mission, and also for like military operations, sending it to the International Space Station, ISS, right? And yeah, so then I was like, hey, okay, quite interesting, right? Quite interesting. And it seems like, yeah, price, it seems to gain some traction over the past couple of months. 20 days moving average, all moving averages has gone up, right? And I was just looking at some of the latest updates, right? And it was saying that I started to read these and say, Redwire won a contract to deploy its commercial space greenhouse on the ISS, which International Space Station, to grow raw strawberries. Then I see this, wow, rise after contract to grow strawberry in space. Now, wow, maybe next time, maybe N2C, you might start to see like maybe 20, 30 years later, maybe strawberry from space. Because now all the strawberry is from US, right? It could be, right? I mean, maybe not so soon, right? They said that they have actually awarded Redwire, which is the company, right? To actually grow strawberries and test on these companies, proprietary soil and on board the International Space Station, right? So that is something quite interesting, right? And let's take a look at this, right? Because this stock, I think, definitely very volatile, and probably it is also reacting to the news, as you can see, which just came out not too long ago, right? I think a couple of days back as well, right? And you can see price, like what Simon has said, it has actually went up all the way. It get up and went up all the way to touch the 26, but profit taking happened and pull back down. And Simon also even mentioned that price actually broke above a consolidation period, which I agree, right? There was some sort of consolidation period happening in February, right? You can see that February 20 days moving average was up and down, fluctuating, right? Then the longer term trend, right, at this point in time, you can see it was actually getting closer. The red and blue line, just focus on the red and blue. It was actually getting closer to each other. And somewhere here in May, right, the red actually crossed above the blue, which is a good sign that the longer term trend is starting to turn up, right? Previously, as you can see, it was actually going down, right? The red and the blue is actually pointing down. Red is actually below the blue, right? At this point in time here, at the start of 2026, right, here was actually, kind of attempting to break, but cannot break above. We got short-term strength returning, 1GD bullish signal returning, but attempting to break, but cannot break. Longer-term trend is actually still down. Only until somewhere here, red crossed above the blue. Green was also starting to point up, and price action also showed the same thing, whereby it break out of a consolidation range, which is great, right? Which is great. And then price started to move already. And you can see from here, the very first 1GD bullish signal to where price closed yesterday is about 100%. 100% in about 1.5 months, right? I mean, and it went to the high, which is about 100 and almost 155, 160%. Yeah, definitely, I think this is a very, very volatile stock, right? But it still look pretty bullish, right? It definitely still looking pretty bullish based on the moving averages, the trend now, right? But I think the key thing is what is the support level that we want to take note of, right? If you are like what Simon has mentioned over here, right? Is it overextended already? Given that the 20 days is still pointing up, what would potentially be a good plan, right? What would potentially be a good plan? For a good plan, I think definitely it needs to have 3 prices. You need to have entry, you need to have exit, which is your target, and also your stop loss. If any of your plan doesn't have any of these 3 prices together, then I don't think it will be considered a good plan. It needs to have all these 3 prices, okay, to manage your upside. To manage your downside, and the upside, right, once it hits your target, can consider to actually take some profits as well, okay? So right now, as you can see, just now I mentioned, right, consolidation phase, heading sideways, right, heading sideways. And price actually break above this $12, right, and it went up. Now price is at 21. But it seems like this $12 definitely very far away, right? It is very, very far away from the current price. So I think one thing that you can make use of would be this trailing support and resistance. Because remember, trailing support and resistance, right? It is a dynamic support. It follows the prices as it moves up. So it moves up, this trailing support also move up. And can you see right over here, near this $18, right? This is where the trailing support stops, right? And this is where, if you were to draw a horizontal, I think somewhere also the horizontal support, right, could also be here. Why? Because as you can see, yesterday, not yesterday, 2 days ago, right here, when price actually pulled back, right, buyers came in, pushed prices back up, and it rebounded, right? It went up even more. It went up more, and it rebounded from this $18. So I would say $18 definitely would be the immediate support, right, that you perhaps want to take note of, right? You perhaps want to take note of this $18 immediate support, right? In terms of resistance, I think it's pretty clear, around this 26 definitely would be the resistance, right? The resistance zone that perhaps some profit taking could actually return, right? So can you see right over here, right? Support zone, resistance zone. And then that is where potentially you can already form a trading plan, right? Form a trading plan like so, right? Potentially if your entry is somewhere near the support, right, and your exit somewhere near the resistance, and like I've mentioned, always make sure to have a stop loss plan in place, right? And given that you mentioned that this stock, is it overextended, right? And definitely, like I've mentioned, it is a very volatile stock, right? We potentially, if you want to put your stop loss slightly below the support, can lah, but the chances of it maybe getting hit might be a bit high, right? Because it is a very volatile stock. Maybe if you want to consider, you can put slightly below the previous, the candlestick, right? Below the support zone right over here, giving it a bit more space, right? Because if prices were to break below the trailing support, right, what actually happens will be there will be likely a very a 1GT bearish signal, which means that selling pressure once again has returned, right? But if you want to give it a bit more space because this stock is volatile, then you can place slightly below, like a bit more, giving it a bit more space, right? But of course, you need to do your position sizing as well, because given that it could be a trading plan, right? But of course, position sizing also matters because you need to know what is your risk appetite, right? Whether your trade, right, how much are you willing to lose per trade if it actually doesn't plan out. And if prices go even lower, profit taking happen, or maybe another news come out, right, suddenly say they retract the contract, right, then that is something we cannot predict, right? But we already want to have a plan in place to manage our downside risk, right? So looking at this, given that if let's say assuming that the stop limit, the stop loss, right, is slightly below here, around like $15-16, your entry is somewhere around this 18 support zone, and your exit is somewhere around this 26. We are still looking at a pretty healthy reward to risk ratio about 2 over 2 lah. So I think that's still pretty decent, right? But make sure, remember, like I've mentioned, to do the position sizing, right? But we will not be able to cover position sizing today, and to dive too deep into, the strategy. But all these are part of the 1GT's framework and strategy, right? So I think if you want to know a bit more about this, for those who are here with us, 133 of you guys who are still here, feel free to attend the upcoming webinar, which is on the following Tuesday lah. Right? And I think that is where you get to have a bit more appreciation on the framework. Why do we buy near support? Why do we buy near resistance? And what are some of the other confirmations, right, that we want to keep a lookout for, right? But for red wire, I think definitely this is something that still looks pretty good, right? At this point in time, I think I will also put it into my watch list. So sometimes when we do Ask Me Any Stocks, right, on every Friday, and sometimes you guys actually share some of the stocks that we don't even know about, right? And that's good, right? So thank you so much for Simon to actually share about this stock, and we can talk about this stock, and the rest of you guys who are here, right, can also learn from it together. All right. So with that, I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next one. And I think a few of you were asking about this very popular, I would say very popular tech stocks in the US. Okay, so this stock would be none other than NVIDIA, right? NVDA. All right, let's see. HPing can cover NVIDIA. What is the support price to buy the counter? So you're looking to enter, all right, this stock. Let's see, a few more of you asking about NVIDIA as well. We have, let's see, let me try to find. So there's so many comments, guys, more than 70, 60 over chat messages. All right, we have like Jack Productions can cover NVIDIA. You got in already, right? So I think HPing was looking to buy, but you have got in at $223. Now is $218. Okay, a bit lower only lah. So what is the outlook right now? Is there more upside or downside? What's the support? Let's find out. So this is NVIDIA, NVDA, I would say the leader, all right, one of the highest market cap stock in the US, the leader in the entire technology sector, all right, regarding, I think the founder and CEO, Jensen Huang, is like traveling in Taiwan. He's very popular, right? And then he's kind of like making comments that, all his other partners and vendors in Taiwan are all making a lot of money as well, because they're all, working with NVIDIA. Okay, and they are kind of like producing a lot of these graphic processing unit to power the entire AI generation, the servers and all that. Right? So I would say it's definitely an AI play leading the rest of the other technology and semiconductor stock like Marvel, like Microns, like even Red Wire as well that Z has covered. Right? Okay, so let's take a look at NVIDIA technically. On the charts, let's go to turn on the 1GT bullish and bearish signals. 1, 2, 3, pump. And let's see what it says, right? So I'll not go too far, but I mean, you can see that since like last year, April, pump, we got bullish signals, all the way up, right? And, somewhere in like November to like April, you can see we got a couple of bearish signals. It was actually quite boring. We were, kind of like consolidating below this $200 psychological resistance. Every time we go near 200, it come back down, come back down, come back down. Then we got bearish signal, then come back down, right? So it was quite boring from October all the way to April for like about 6 months, okay? But however, somewhere around mid of April, we finally broke above the 200 psychological resistance that we've been trading below for 6 to 7 months, all right? So that's a sign of strength. I mean, all this while we go there, come back down, right? But here come down, never come back down, right? How come now we break above and then we stay above it? Right now, we are still above, so it's good, okay, Ken? So we have broke above that 200 psychological resistance, which would be what we call a new support level. You see past, after breaking above, we kind of like hovered a bit more volatile, went up, came back down, retested a little bit, all right, hovered above it. The green 20 days moving average, that was pointing up since like early of April, still continue to point up. I would say right now, the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend is still slightly pointing up. So still okay, still okay. Maybe a bit of a consolidation as we found a bit of a resistance. But overall, I think 200 will be a very good support. But over the past 2 weeks, right? Past 2 weeks, not even 200. In fact, I think 210. Let me just go to draw this line. I can see 210 was where we were in October. Last year, it was a pretty key resistance level. And then we traded all the way down, right? Same thing, this resistance has now, coincidentally turned to be a new support level that we have been holding over the past 1 month. I would say about 3 weeks to a month. The $210. So not 200. I think now the support has gone a little bit higher by about $10 only, right? So it's like $210. $210. So in fact, last night, I think last night we went to a low of around 210.97. Yeah, I see very near 210, right? And then buyers come out and then we start to push higher and close at 218. So I think 210 to 215. That's what we call a buy zone. That's where we have rebounded previously. 2 weeks back went all the way up. Sellers came back and we came down again. So a bit of a profit taking here and there in the technology sector because of the massive run up, which I think is okay, all right, as long as all those key support levels are still holding, right? So resistance, maybe you could put it at 235 or 240. I think that is pretty much the range right now, right? So back to your question, right? Can cover NVIDIA, you bought it at 223. Well, I would say that 223 would be slightly higher. Maybe you've gone in slightly higher in the middle of the range, right? So as I say, as part of the one good trend strategy. So even though we got bullish signals, the short-term trend is up, everything looks good, right? But doesn't mean we also anyhow buy now. We also want to think about getting in at what we call an attractive price zone, all right? A buy zone whereby the reward to risk is better, all right? It makes much more sense. It's easier to make money, all right? So everything is good, but if you enter like in the middle of nowhere or like maybe near a resistance level, like over here, if you enter at 230 or 234 or 232, and then you say, why I buy only come down? Because you're entering near the resistance, right? That's where every time you go there, you come down, you go and buy there for what, right? So we want to try to enter near the support level, right? Even though everything is good, right? So that's also one important step, in the one good trend 7-step checklist. All right, okay? So attend a free webinar to learn more, right? Today I don't have time to cover everything, but pretty much, I think support level is right over here, $210. That seems to be holding pretty well. I would say that, I could also turn on the trailing support to see what it says. All right, are we above it? In fact, the trailing support is right over there around the $210 as well. All right, so right over there. So, so 210 would be a pretty important key support level. We can hold above it, good, maybe all the way to 235 resistance where some selling can return again. All right, so that's NVIDIA. I would say one of the very popular AI tech plays. Okay, so attend the free webinar to find out a bit more about the entire 7-step checklist. The link is right in the chat. Okay, now let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock. Jia, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering NVIDIA. I think everyone is interested in this. That's why so many people ask about it. The next counter that I'll be talking about is also somewhat semiconductor. It's actually on this counter, NVTS. I think there was 2 person asking about it, and I just remember, I think previously back in, the previous AMES for US, I think I covered about this as well. Just wanted to recover again as well for this. I think user asking about NVTS. Sold at 24 with profit, but it continues to goes up. What price to get in and out? So it looks like user took some profit and was thinking of entering again. Where could be a potential buy zone, like what Joey have mentioned. Where could be a potential buy zone to enter for this counter? Then I think someone was also asking about NVTS. Claudia, hopefully you guys are still here, thinking of getting NVTS as well. So it looks like both of you guys are looking to enter for this counter. So where could be a potential buy zone, or where could be a potential level for you guys to consider to enter? So I think for NVTS previously, if you look at it, it has been showing uptrend and been showing strength since last year. September. It went up close to that 180 level, but couldn't break above. Couldn't stay above the $12 level as well, and start to show some weakness for the short term wise. But afterwards, it managed to trade, consolidate below this $12 level, and just if you were to zoom in, just recently in April, it actually broke above this $12 psychological resistance level, turning to a new support. 1GT bullish signal appeared, and afterwards prices actually went above the 18, but afterwards just a few days couldn't break above, and just in May, actually just last month, it managed to break above this 18 and continue to ride up. So prices actually broke above this 18 level, which was previously a psychological resistance level, turning into a new support. You can see that prices broke above, then after that came back down, afterwards break above again, and now it's staying above this $18 key support level. And just recently, you can see that prices continue to show more strength as well, broke above this 24 resistance level, turning to new support, which I actually draw over here. So if you were to look back at the previous AMS, I also mentioned that $23, around at 23 to 24 was a new support level, and prices was kept under that around at 30 to 32 resistance level. So I think previously I also draw that the 32 or 30 level could be a resistance level where sellers might come in to push back the price, and indeed sellers did indeed come back and push the price back down to the support of around that $23. So you can see that this level was actually tested again, and afterwards prices continue to go up, went up to close to that 32 resistance level again, and now it's kept under there. So for Claudia and I think user, I think you guys are looking to enter for this counter. 23 could be a potential buy zone, which is near a trail horizontal support. This could be an area where you can consider to enter if prices pull back to this level. But of course, I wouldn't know whether prices are able to pull back to this level. If prices consolidate below that $32 level and don't come back to the 23 level, maybe it might not be a good entry level if it doesn't pull back to the 24, because we want to have a good risk to reward for the trades that we enter. So if prices are not able to pull back to the 23 and start to consolidate slightly below that 32 level, where could be a potential entry level? Another potential entry level could be above that 32. So if prices start to show more strength and start to try to break above that 32, and one day it breaks above that 32 and manage to stay above this 32, which was previously prices kept under a resistance level, turn into a new support, prices afterwards break above this 32, this could be a potential entry level that you guys can consider to enter for this NVTS. So these are the two buy zone that you guys can consider. If prices pull back to that 23, you can consider to enter some, or if prices break above that 32 level, which is a key resistance level, and if prices manage to stay above it, that could be another buy zone that you guys can consider to enter. And where could be the potential upside, if you guys are wondering, from 23 to about 32 is about $8 upside. Just doing a simple projection, we can see that the next resistance might be towards that, about the $40 psychological resistance level. So this is for NVTS. Overall, the long-term trend are still up. Short-term 20 days also pointing up. If you guys are looking to enter, 23, or if 32, if prices break above 32, that could be another buy zone to consider to enter for this NVTS. Hopefully that answers the questions on this NVTS. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jia. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here would be by Tan JH. JH, I hope you're still here. I think you broke your comments up into two. You said saw 1 GT bullish signal in April, brought RFIL with average cost of about $15, and because you have bought it, right, and you're still holding on to it, you're thinking whether should you sell, should you hold, or should you buy more now, right? So let's take a look at this stock, right? And this stock, I think, is actually a micro cap because it is only 198 million, right? So by the way, in terms of market capitalization, right, small cap is from 250 million to 2 billion. So this is below 250 million and it's only 198 million now. So it is considered a micro cap, right? So typically micro cap companies also tend to have higher share price volatility lah, and it potentially also carry higher investment risk than small caps as well, because you know that mega caps, right, you know, the big Max 7, you know, that kind of companies, right, those definitely are like mega caps, right? A lot of volatility, you know, but compared to this, definitely I think in terms of the liquidity as well, I think that is also one thing that you guys also need to take note of if you are thinking about looking at this stock, right? So for JH, right, for JH, you mentioned that your average cost is about $15, right? $15. Now yesterday price closed at $18.40. Definitely, let me see, sitting on profits lah, $15 average to here, sitting on about 21% profits, right? Not too bad, right? Not too bad. So now your question is, should you think about selling? Should you continue to hold, or should you buy more, right? Should you buy more? Very good question, especially those, always see these kind of questions when, you know, you see that the stock is still going up, you know, everything's still looking strong, right? And then a bit scared, right? Thinking whether want to take profits or not, you know, what should you do, right? So the thing is that always when you have something like that happening, right, it might not be this stock, it could be other stocks as well, whereby you're already seeing on huge profits, price has gone up for a lot, right? But you still see that the trend, right, is actually very strong, right? Based on RFIL right now, do you agree that, you know, the green, the red, and the blue is actually all still pointing up, right? And in fact, I think JH, you say you saw 1 GT bullish signal, right? Actually, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, there's 4 1 GT bullish signal, right? 1 GT bullish signal since the start of 2026, and they are actually still playing out, right? With no bearish signals yet, right? So in terms of the uptrend, I definitely would say it is still pretty much intact, right? It's still pretty much intact, right? So sometimes when we think about a stock, right, that the uptrend is still intact, right, we don't want to rush into selling as well, right? Because sometimes you sell already and then like the price continue to go up, then you might, I sell too early, right? But why not we can consider to continue riding the uptrend until there is some signs of weakness, such as maybe the 20 days moving average starts to point down, right? Break support level, or it could be a 1 GT bearish signal appearing. Then that's where maybe if you want to think about selling, okay lah, can sell some, right, to lock in your profits, because since you're already sitting on profits, right? So the key here is we don't want to cut ourselves short, right, in terms of the profits that we already have, right? So definitely now, just now I mentioned, you're sitting on about 20% profits, right? So in terms of price right now, we see that around this $16, right, I would draw like a support level here, right, around this $16 psychological level, right? Back in April to May, this was when price actually broke out above the sideways consolidation that has been happening for the first quarter of the year, right? And then it broke out above this, attempted, you know, to go up to this $16, but never even reached $16, right? $15 over dollars, it started to pull back already. Profit taking happened, price pull back, and to test this $13 support, previously was a resistance, and then eventually it broke above it, right? Broke above it, surged all the way to $19, right? But profit taking once again happened very quickly, right, over the next couple of days. But look at this very strong candlestick, even though it's red, but I would say it's actually a pretty bullish candlestick. Why? Because of the long lower shadow, right? And that actually tells us a story that on this specific trading day, buyers came in to push the prices all the way back up, and eventually closed back above the $16. So this, even though it's red, I would say that it is a bullish candlestick, right? It's a bullish candlestick, and it is good that we see it happening near a support level, because that tells us that potentially if prices were to pull back to that level, buyers could return once again, right? So again, same thing. After that, prices rebounded, right, all the way, reached the $20, near this $20, right? Never even touched $20. Near this $20, then the opposite happens. Long upper shadow, selling pressure return. Profit taking again happen in the next couple of days. These happen once again. Long lower shadow, buying pressure comes in. So you know what I'm gonna say, right? So basically it means that the buyers came back near this $16 support zone, right? Right over here. So I would say that $16, as you can see, pretty much I would say this would be one of the support zone that you want to watch out for, right? You want to watch out for, right? And in terms of resistance wise, in terms of sell zone, this could be a potential sell zone that we could be looking at, right? We could be looking at this potential sell zone, maybe from the $19 to $20. That could be a range, right, of the sell zone, whereby if you're thinking of taking some profits, not all, I think of taking some profits, price head back up to this level, you want to think about taking some profits. I think nothing wrong to take profits near resistance, like we always say, right? Nothing wrong to lock in profits near resistance, right? But if prices were to, consolidate sideways, go back to the support like that, if you want to accumulate some position near this support zone, I think that's also fine, because in terms of the longer term trend, short term trend, they are all actually aligned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 bullish signal that's actually still in play. And in fact, from the very first bullish signal that it came out to here, see, this is 187%. 187%, there's no bearish signal yet, right? I mean, of course, I hope that you actually got in somewhere closer to here, $8, $9 when it first broke out, right? But I mean, if you get in $15, never mind, right? Never mind. You're still sitting on profits, which is good, right? Which is good. But the thing now is that we don't want to cut ourselves short in terms of, at this point in time, because price have gone up, right? You don't want to sell just because what, price gone up too much? Because like what Joey said at the very beginning, right? As long as price break a resistance and the trend is still intact, there is still leg for the trend to continue even higher, right? Can but price go up 80% already, can it become 200%? It could, right? It could. So we don't want to cut ourselves short, but there is nothing, right? There's nothing wrong to take profits near the resistance, to lock in some profits so that you are able to manage your emotions as well, right? To manage your emotions, because if you take some profits near the resistance, okay, right? If it goes up higher, your balance position can continue to ride the uptrend. Okay, so in terms of this, if let's say price is able to break above the $20, what is the next leg of upside that we are looking at, right? We do a simple projection up like this, and there we go, right? Potentially the next upside target or the next resistance based on the range could be somewhere close to the 24, right? Maybe 23, 24. That could be the next upside target that we could be looking at if price is able to break and hold firmly above the $20 with another 1 GD bullish signal as another confirmation, right? So I think at this point in time, I think don't have to worry too much about RFIL, but make sure to have your stop loss in place as well, right? Because your average cost price is about $15, right? If price were to break this this $16 support right over here, right? Potentially it can head back to the sideways consolidation within this range, like the $13 to $16, right? And just a note of caution is that earnings will be coming out in about 10 days time on 15th of June. So that could also be a catalyst whereby price could also get up or get down. I don't know, right? If you ask me whether will it go up higher, I'm not sure. I don't know whether the price, the earnings, how will it affect it, right? Nobody will know, right? You can see in the past, price, the earnings came out, price actually gave up, right? But the next earning come out, but it didn't give up, but I mean, there's still some sort of bullish candlestick that it didn't get up. So we cannot take reference based on because of the past price in terms of the earnings, what actually happened, how did the price react, we emulate for the next earnings, right? No, we cannot do that, right? We cannot do that because it doesn't represent the past price performance, right? And the price earnings, right, cannot represent the future earnings as well. Okay, so just a note on this day, volatility definitely could return as well. Could it get up, get down? I'm not sure, but make sure to have your plan in place, right, to protect your profits on the downside and to take note of some of these levels, especially if it managed to break and hold above the $20, then potentially we could have a next leg up towards the 24 lah. Okay, so that would be for RFIL. I hope that helps. Something that's still quite bullish as well. Okay, so I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so yeah, there we have it, guys. I think we have covered a total of 12 stocks. So maybe before, I think we can just go one more final round. Just one more final round. Let's just make it 15. All right, let's just make it 15. So maybe before I talk about the next US stock, let me do a quick recap of all the stocks that we've covered so far. So I think some of you are asking about the same stock. So, if you missed it, you can watch the replay. It'll be on my YouTube channel. So just make sure you hit the subscribe and follow as well, right? So we covered the markets, S&P 500 index, the Dow Jones right at the beginning. And the very first stock that I talked about was Marvel Technology, MRVL, right? Then we covered Broadcom, Ring Central, Micron, ServiceNow, Van Eyck Oil Services, ETF that was covered, Oracle, Palantir, Redwire Corporation, NVIDIA, NVDA, right? Navitas Semiconductor, all right? RF Industry that Z just covered, RFIL is the code. Okay, so that's the 12th stock already. Let's move on one more round to cover 3 more stocks before we move on to the 3 bonus stocks at the end. Okay, let me go to share my screen. And that is asked by, let's see, I think we have Ashley. Ashley, I hope you're still over here. All right. Hi, can you go through Robinhood and when to get in? I think you have typed your comments a couple of times, right? So let me see. And then one of you asking about Robinhood as well. Okay, maybe just one only. Okay, no problem. Let's take a look at Robinhood right now. Okay, so this is Robinhood at $88.33. So actually, you're looking to get in, all right, on Robinhood. Let's find out whether is it a good time to get in. Maybe you're going to be patient as well, or what to actually look out for. Okay, so Robinhood, you can see that since like last year, I mean, yeah, every time you got bullish signals, right? I mean, when you get bearish, then as I say, don't rush lah. That's where we came down, right? Previously, bullish, right? 2 more bullish in April last year, all the way up, right? But if you ask me in like October, November, December, January, you say you want to buy, I will say, don't buy lah, right? We usually got bearish signal, right? Bearish one, come out, then go down, then come out, another one, then go down some more, right? If you buy, you get stuck, lor. So for what, right? Don't buy lah, okay? But over the past 2 to 3 months, finally, all right, we have started to see a bit of a support coming back. I would say this $70, 65 to maybe $70 have came out as a little bit of a horizontal support level, right? And we saw what we call a bullish signal coming out, right? Went up a bit, came back down. Another bullish signal came out over the past few days as well. So if you see like, bearish, bullish, we could be in what we call a consolidation phase. So normally when we see the first 1GT bullish signal, right? Well, that is what we call a beginning of a reversal move, right? It is that's where you want to put the stock in your watch list. You want to kind of like get ready lah. Not anyhow just go and buy, but get ready. Okay, because if you see the first one, and then maybe after 1 week later or 2 weeks later, you see the second one. Then that one is a different story, because that one is not get ready. That one is like, get ready plus action plus, it is not just beginning to reverse, but it is reversing already, plus even attempting to push even higher to break the resistance and go to a new high. All right, so that is a sign of strength. Something like, okay, maybe let me show you. Like over here, can you see, right? So previously we got also 2 bearish, 1, 2, then went down, right? When the first one came out, right, you can see nothing much. I went up, then went sideways a bit, right? But when the second one came out, you see yourself, it's like all the way, right? So let's go back to where we are right now, right? We see the first 1GT bullish signal actually appeared, right? So the question is that, is there a second one? Haven't yet lah. I mean, I don't know when you'll come out, but as of today, like haven't come out yet, right? So I would say that this is a very key resistance level. You want to write it down, all right? That is the $95 to maybe $100. You can see it was the support right over here last year, rebounded, all right? Very key support level. We hit it there, we rebounded. And of course, somewhere in January, we broke down, right? So the support gave way, we got a bearish signal before that and it went even lower, right? But this support has turned to a resistance. We're right over here, same thing, right? That was in April, about 2 months back. We sold down. Same thing over the past few days. We are here. I mean, I don't know whether you will sell down, but we are right here at the $95 resistance level, right? So what am I trying to say? Well, I'm trying to say that this 95 is a very key resistance level for now, right? So if you're asking about when to get in, Ashley, all right, I would prefer, right? As I say, it doesn't mean you get a bullish signal, means you're nearby, right? When we get a bullish signal, we're going to wait for more confirmation, right? Whether are we near a resistance level? Could we get a second bullish signal whereby we break a key resistance level, right? In terms of the green 20 days moving average line, all right? You can see that the green 20 days moving average line was like turning down, now starting to point up as well. So not too bad, slightly pointing up. But if you look at the long-term trend, you look at the red and the blue line, you see the red is pointing down, blue is a little bit pointing down. So in terms of the longer-term trend, we are not entirely out of the woods. It's a bit more down than up. Why? Because you can see we have sold off since October last year. So the longer term trend is slightly pointing down. So we don't want to rush to get in because we are kind of like against the longer term trend, which is down. Does it make sense, Bob? Right? Unless we get a confirmation, like if we break the $95 to even $100 resistance, and then this green 20 days moving average line, wow, very nicely. All right, the short-term trend start to turn up very nicely. That would be a good confirmation of the reversal move, and that is where I think targets could be revised. All right, all the way to 150, not 150 straight away, but I would say somewhere maybe near that 120 right over here. 120 could be what we call a bit of a resistance. That's where we saw selling previously after 120, then maybe all the way to 150. So don't need to rush because the long-term trend is still down. We're not entirely out of the woods. So we want to wait for the confirmation of that resistance at 95 to maybe even $100 breaking, maybe even a second new 1GT bullish signal appearing, being triggered. That would be a much safer, better confirmation and a higher conviction entry, right, to ride the reversal back up. All right, Ken. So that is for Robinhood. I hope that helps, Ashley. Okay, let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you, Joey. The next stock that I'll be covering on will be on this counter. I think it's been a while since I see this counter, Walmart. Sorry. Walmart. So, I think Edward was asking about Walmart. Should I buy now? Okay, so I think if you look at Walmart previously, it has been showing a lot of strength. Just last year, May, has been breaking resistance and showed strength until this year, Feb. It actually hit a peak of 135. So I think if you look into Walmart, just recently, it actually hit the 135 resistance, couldn't break above, came back down to that 120 support level, managed to stay above in March, went back up again to 135, but afterwards, I think after their earnings, it couldn't break above this 135, came back down to test at 120, and just recently in May, it actually broke below that 120. So now actually 120 is turning into a resistance. I would say the next support will be actually near that 110, which previously back in October was a resistance, turning to a new support. Prices test this level again, managed to stay above. So near term wise, you can see that 20 days moving average actually start to point down. You can see that this could be a first early sign that there's some short-term weakness, and we see that the 20 days moving average is already crossing below that 100 days moving average, and the 100 days moving average as well is starting to flatten. So if prices are not able to break above the 120 resistance level, you might see that prices might be kept under this 120. First thing is the 20 days moving average will start to point downwards. 100 days will start to flatten and start to point downwards. And prices, if consolidate below that 110 to 120 level, you might see that the 200 days moving average will also start to flatten. So if we were to turn on that 1GT buy and sell signal, we also notice that there's actually two 1GT bearish signal, indicating that actually for this counter wise, there's more of a selling pressure, and sellers are actually in control for now. You can see that prices yesterday tried to close above that 120, but sellers came in and pushed back the price back below that 120. So for now, overall, I would say the trend wise is still uptrending. It is still okay for the long term wise, but if you're looking to enter, wouldn't recommend. Mainly because first thing is there's some short-term weakness, 1GT bearish signal. If prices manage to break above that 120 and start to show more strength, First thing is we want to see the 20 days moving average start to flatten first and start to point up. Afterwards, when all three moving averages are pointing up, there's a higher confirmation that there's more strength in this counter and there could be more upside. So first thing is we want to see the 100 days 120 resistance being broken and prices stay above it, turning into a new support. If prices are able to stay above it, we might see another consolidation between that 120 to 135. Maybe by then, if you want, 120 could be an area that you can consider to enter. Or if you want for more upside and wait for more confirmation, if prices break above this 135 that it was kept under for the past 2 to 3 months, 135 is a key resistance that we want to break above, which could turn into a new support. And this could be a potential buy zone that you can consider to enter. But Edward, if you're looking to buy for this Walmart for now, wouldn't recommend. Currently, there's some short-term weakness to 1 GT bearish signal. Wait for price to stabilize first. See how the price moving forward for the next few days. If prices are not able to break above this 120, you could see more weakness, and the next support could be back to that 110 level. So I would say for Walmart for now, maybe hold on. If you want, you can put into a watch list so that you can closely monitor for this counter. And when there's more strength in this counter, then you can consider to re-enter or enter for this Walmart. Yeah, so I think that's a quick one for Walmart. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jia. Okay, I think we have come to the last requested stock, right? And I think the one that I'll be covering will be by NGCS, right? And that would be about MP Materials. Okay, so let's take a look at NGCS comment, all right? I hope you're still here. Bought MP Material 1GT at selling 180. It looked bullish with 1 GT, but it has dropped for 2 days. TS at 56 is too far away. What are the nearest support I should monitor, and where would be the cut loss? Okay, so based on your comment, I would have gathered that you probably have the 1 GT Pro indicator because you can even see the trading support and tell me the trading support is at 56, right? Fantastic. Okay, so but let's take a look at MP Materials together, right? Because you say it looks bullish with 1 GT, but actually I don't see 4 consecutive 1 GT bullish signal. I only see the very first one here. This one, which is on the 2nd of June, there's a 1 GT bullish, and you are right that it has dropped for 2 days. 1 day, 2 days, right? Price pullback. And as of last night, price closed at about 65.46. Okay, so let's analyze this together, right? Okay, so let me see how many of you guys are still here. About 150. Okay, so 150 of you guys who are still here, right? Maybe let me ask you, what do you guys think about the trend for MP Materials now? Do you guys think it's an uptrend, it's a downtrend, it's a sideways? What do you guys think, right? You can help NGCS out as well, right? What do you guys think of the trend for MP Materials? Up, down, or sideways? Let me know in the chat. Let's see. Ben, sideways. Darren, sideways. Yatri, sideways. Energized mood. Boring. No clear trend. Dave, sideways. Joseph, sideways. User, sideways. Okay. ABC, down. Okay. Dex, sideways. What? But a lot of you guys all say sideways. Okay, so let's take a look at this, right? I would also agree that this is a stock that has no clear trend. It's kind of like just moving sideways. Like you can see from November all the way to June, right? It was just the moving average just crisscross each other. It's not like a clear uptrend, clear downtrend. There's short term up, short term down. Then you see it just kind of crisscross each other. And right now, if we were to look at this, right, look at the trend now. We ignore everything else. Wait, let me just turn off this, right? Just look at the moving average. The 20 days is pointing down, then the red is actually above the blue is actually above the red, and the blue is kind of like sloping down a bit as well. The red is going up. It's not very clear. The trend is not clear. When we think about buying into any stock, right, we want to buy into strength, right? We want to buy into strength. And how do we buy into strength? Is buying into uptrend, right? And when we want to buy into uptrend, what do we want to look out for in terms of the moving average? We want to look out for something like that. Green above the red, above the blue, right? In terms of the moving average, green, red, blue. But now, we don't really see that. Like it's kind of like all over the place, right? So typically, this is something whereby in terms of buying, we wouldn't even want to kind of like consider this stock at this point in time lah, because we want to buy into strength, right? Not into into like things that are not very clear. So it can be put into your watch list to continue monitoring, but typically we wouldn't want to buy into this, right? And that brings me to my point whereby I think NGCS also saw a 1GD bullish signal, right? I agree. I also see a 1GD bullish signal appearing 3 days ago, right? On the 2nd of June. And I think it is kind of attempting to break above this resistance, right? Because when price is consolidating sideways, definitely we will be seeing support, we'll be seeing resistance because go up and down, right? So it attempting to break above this 72, we got 1GD bullish signal appearing. And when 1GD bullish signal appearing, it means that there's more buying pressure. But again, my point would be, do we just purely look at the 1GT bullish signal to make a decision on when to buy or sell? No, right? We don't. Because if we just look at the signals, right, it doesn't give us the big picture. We want to see what is the big picture, right? And the big picture is that this stock is in a sideways, right? It is not in an uptrend, right? It attempted to break, but price action is telling us that it did not manage to break and firmly hold above it, right? Price actually pulled back, right? And as of last night, it closed at 65.46, right? 65.46. And this consolidation, right? I would say that this consolidation phase has been going on for pretty long, right? Since last year, right? November, after that it broke down, and then you can see that price tested this. It has been consistently, I think, testing around this $48 to $50. This I would be considering it as a support zone, right? Buyers came in 1 time, 2 time, here tested, break above it, quickly recovered, right? Came back up. Here, buyers came in at around 56 instead of about 50, right? In terms of resistance, here broke down. Here, selling pressure came in. Here, unable to hold above. And just 3 days ago, attempted to break, but unable to break above it, right? So it is very clear that the support is somewhere around maybe 48 to about 50, right? Resistance could be around this 72, right? Maybe some would be about 7, some would say a 70, 72. Yeah, I think that would be a resistance zone, right? That would be a resistance zone, right? So we don't buy just because we see a 1GD bullish signal appearing, but we want to have a confluence of factors to have more confirmation on getting in, right? To get in on strength. So for MP materials, right, I think just now NGCS also mentioned about trailing support, right? TS56 is too far away. Okay, let's take a look for trailing support, right? So when I turn this on, let's see. Yeah, indeed, trailing support is at 56, right? Trailing support is at 56, right? The horizontal sideways consolidation support drawn is somewhere around 50 to 49, right? 49, 50. This is at 56. Why? Because price actually go up. Like we mentioned, trailing support is dynamic. It follows the price as it goes up. So the new higher support found about 56, but he still mentioned that it's still far away, which I agree, 65 to 56 still a bit far, right? So if you are asking about the very, very immediate support, right, I think if you just look pretty closely at, you know, the past few days, right, perhaps maybe we can find some support around this 63 to 64. Like you can see, this was where the past couple of last week, right, when price action played out, that was when we have multiple candlesticks with lower shadow, which indicates buying pressure, right? So if prices were to head back to this level, potentially hopefully we might see some buying pressure returning. But otherwise, maybe you might want to think of your stop loss plan, right? Because by right, if we are actually buying here, right, you are thinking about buying here, you are buying prior to a confirmation of a price breaking and holding above a resistance, right? And if you have your stop loss slightly below the support level, right, then perhaps that's where you have gotten out already, rather than getting out here, right? But I think now maybe the immediate support that you might want to take note of could be around the 63 to 64, right, to see whether will buyers return against once again, right, when it retraces back to this level, and then you can formulate your trading plan in terms of your stop loss as well, right? But if prices is able, right, to, you know, consolidate the leg and break above this 72, right, break above this resistance that it was consolidating, right, then potentially where is the next level, right? You can see over here, back in, this was when October, October, the high, it was around this $100 psychological level, right? So definitely $100. I think that is where I will not be surprised if price hit back to that level, right? And we started to see some profit taking happening again. I think nothing wrong, right? But if we were to use a sideways consolidation range. You see, it has consolidated so long, right, in this range, and we were to project it up, right, perhaps around the 95, right, maybe 95 to 100, this I would call it like a resistance zone as well. Potentially, this is where, you know, selling pressure, profit taking could happen. All right. So for MP materials, I think for NGCS, right, I think those are some of the levels that you can take note of in terms of the immediate resistance, and also potentially we can look towards like whether buyers, right, could return around the 63, 64, and that is where it coincides with this blue line as well, which is the 200 days moving average. All right, so that is some of the levels that perhaps you want to take note of. Don't hold onto a position and don't have a plan, right? Because at the end of the day, if you hold on to a position without a plan and prices keep getting lower and lower, then you won't know what to do and you'll be stuck with unrealized losses, and that's not what we want. All right, so make sure to have a plan in place. Okay, and that would be, yeah, the last stop from the requested section, right? And I think now we'll be moving on to the bonus section, and I'll pass my time back over to Joey.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so that is pretty much the last stock. So thank you so much, guys, for typing in the chat all your stocks. Just want to say sorry as well if we cannot cover all your stocks. On a quick count, there's more than 60 over US stocks in the chat. So very sorry, guys. We'll do our best the next round again, right? So next Friday we'll be diving back into the Singapore market. Okay, next one, then we'll be back to the US market. Okay, so I think Z mentioned a very good point regarding this stock MP materials, right? Because I mean, even though we get bullish signal, but we don't just look at it by itself, right? We look at it overall in terms of the trend, right? For example, as Z mentioned, if it's a sideways trend in the longer term, it's like up and down, up and down. After 1 year, the price still the same. I mean, even though you get a bullish signal, but the trend is just not up lah, it's sideways. So I don't want to buy after 1 year, the price still the same. It's a bit waste time, right? So I want to buy something that is strong, buying the strength and then pushing higher. Does it make sense? And then we get a bullish signal, and then plus other things we see as well. So we try not to buy stock that is just going like nowhere lah. There's no going sideways. Right? We want to focus on strong uptrending stocks. All right, and that is pretty much the entire belief of the one good trend strategy. So that's where I kind of like dive a little bit more in detail in the webinar on the next Tuesday. So the link is right in the chat. You're gonna find a bit more. Right now, let me go to share my screen right now, and I want to move on. I want to move on to this very important segment, which would be the 3 bonus stock that we want to share with you guys for today. Right. So the very first stock I like to talk about, I would like to share with you guys today by me, will be this company called Morgan Stanley. All right. The code is MS. All right. Morgan Stanley right over here. And you can see that the price is around $218. Right now, why is this stock in our watch list? It has been in our watch list since last year. Team, just please. Okay, good. Right, so you can see that since last year, we have been in a very strong longer term uptrend. All right, red above the blue, both pointing up, very strong uptrend intact. In the short term, yeah, sometimes you might see the green 20 days moving average line pointing down, and we can sell off over here as well. Last year, February, March, green line turns down, short-term trend turns down, we sell off. But once the green 20 days moving average line or the short-term trend reverses back up, that is where we can start to see some really good alignment in the trend, right? In terms of the upwards direction. So long-term and short-term both align, and there we go, right? So why do I like this stock? First of all, it is in a very nice uptrend. And second of all, I could turn on the bullish and bearish signals for Morgan Stanley. Let's turn it on. And there we go, right? You can see that since last year, we've been talking about this. In fact, this was one of the stocks, if I'm not wrong, we shared, or me and my team shared since last year in our AMAS, Ask Me Any Stock session as well. All right, we got bearish signals. If we see bearish signal, of course, we will not share, right? It's like wick, it's going down, 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 right? But once the bullish signal appear, pump, right? There we go, right? When we see 2 more bearish signal, and then it starts coming down again, right? So we will not talk about it. We will not share about it. I think you want to get out. You don't want to buy, all right? You want to be patient, all right? But over the past 2 months, well, finally, we got 2 new 1 GT bullish signal being triggered, all right? The short-term trend, as I say, from the green line that was going down when we had the bearish signal, right? That's where it started to turn up as well. Flat a little bit, now still pointing up. And what I like is that over the past few days, right, we actually attempted to break the psychological $200 resistance level. So we were like, very near it, like 195 to 200. That's kind of like trading below this resistance level. However, right, over the past 1-2 weeks, we broke above it, and it's a good thing. We stayed above it, and I kind of like expected it to just rest a bit and hold above the 200 for a while, right? Maybe 1 or 2 more weeks, from 200 to 210, right? But it seems like we are not even resting, right? We have broke the 200. This 200 will be a new support level, and over the past 2 to 3 days, even the 210 has given way as well, right? So I think that it's getting a bit more bullish. I think these bullish signals are still playing out, right? So not even 200, I think 210 would be a support already, right? It has gone up from 200 to 210, right? You can see over the past few days, every time you go near 210, people buy and then rebound again. So that could be a very good, I would say, potential entry near 210, right? All the way to maybe a bit of resistance, I mean the $10 range to 220 lah. So overall looks good. If the 220 were to give way, all right, I think targets could then be revised, right, all the way up to maybe $250, right? So that's where I think, there could be even more upside bullish signals that came out since 7th or 8th of April could continue to play out as well. Okay, so this is Morgan Stanley. And if I can quickly just show you guys another very powerful feature that we talk about as well, the trailing support, all right over here. You can see that this trailing support, right, that's popped out since like April, right? You can see it follows the price as it moves up. Okay, let me just remove the moving averages so it's a bit clearer, all right? So you can see this trailing support popped up. You can see it followed Morgan Stanley as it moved up, giving it the space, right, to breathe, right, to move freely, right? And you can see past few days, it started to move up. That's why it started to follow even more, right? And the trading support is right over here around that $200, right? So yeah, so 200 will be a very key level. Anything above 200 is bullish, is positive. There's more upside momentum. That is a psychological level as well, right? But as I say, not even 200. Now I think 210 already come out as a higher support. People also want to buy near 210 rate. Don't even let it go down to 200 lah. So this is Morgan Stanley, not too bad. One of the stocks in our watch list. We do have positions in it. It could potentially hit even higher once the 220 resistance gives way. Right? So let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover his top bonus stock for today. Jia, yours.
All right. Thank you, Joey, for covering your bonus stock, Morgan Stanley, MS. So then my bonus stock will be on this counter, WDC. So I believe a lot of people previously, memory chips has been going up. I think WDC was also one of the counters that was in our watch list as well. So I mean, if you zoom out, looking at a bigger picture, I think this counter has went up a lot and has been showing a very strong uptrend since I think last year, October, June. It has been going up, showing all the moving averages has been pointing up and going higher, breaking resistance. And if you were to turn on the buy and sell signal, we can see that actually since last year, April, there was a 1GT bullish signal that appeared, and afterwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1GT bullish signal are still in play. No, there's no 1GT bearish signal yet. And if you were to enter since then, right? Wow, I was just looking at it. I mean, if you look at if you enter that second one until now, it will be actually up close to 1,000% actually for this WDC. Well, actually, it's quite a lot. So this counter has been showing strength, and I mean, this is also one of the counters that we also recommended previously in our money newsletter. So we just look at WDC, how is it like for now, near term wise. So if WDC, we can see that zooming in to the nearer picture, we can see that currently it's kept under this 600 psychological resistance level. Prices actually came close to this just a few days back, couldn't break above. Currently it's kept under this 600 psychological resistance level. And where could be a potential support? I would say around that 520 level. Previously prices was kept under this 520, came back down to that 440, and afterwards break above that 520, and now it's trading around that 520 to 600 level. So WDC, has been showing uptrend, have been showing a lot of strength, and some of you guys might be wondering, the price is already so high, a bit scary to enter. Don't. What should you do? Or don't really want to enter. But if you look at it previously, if we look at it back then, maybe in January when the price was about 200, to you maybe prices have went up a lot already. 200 was to you very high, but you can see that 200 prices continue to show more strength, and now it's actually at this 600 mark. So it shows that if the stock is showing strength and there's potential upside and there's strength and momentum to this counter, these stocks can continue to show more strength and break resistance. But if prices start to show more weakness, then like what we have always mentioned, breaking support, make sure to have a stop loss plan in mind. Okay, so for WDC, to zoom in, where could be a potential buy entry level if you are looking to enter for this counter? Like what I have identified, 520 could be a potential buy zone if prices pull back to this level. And if you were to turn on the trailing support and resistance, actually prices are around that 487, 490 level. So if prices come back down slightly towards that trailing support, around at 500 level to 100 and maybe around this level, it could be a potential buy zone if you're looking to enter for this WDC. Or if you are more aggressive, you want prices to break above this psychological resistance 600, you could actually enter above it if prices manage to break above. So where could be a potential upside if prices continue to show more strength? Just doing a simple projection from this 520 to 600. Previously, it was also trading around this range from 440 to 520. The next upside could be towards that 680 level. So if you're looking to enter for this counter, WDC has been showing up a lot of strength. If prices pull back to that 520 level, that could be an entry level, a buy zone that we always mention about, entering near a support level so that your risk to reward will be will be better. And if prices break above this 600, this could be another buy zone to enter for this WDC. So I would say WDC has been showing a lot of strength and has been showing momentum. So if you are looking to enter into a memory chip, this could be some of the buy zone or key support level that you want to monitor for this WDC. Yep. So I think that's for my bonus stock. If not, I'll pass on to Z to cover her bonus stock.
All right, thank you, Jia. Okay, let me share my screen quickly over here. And okay, so the bonus stock, right, that I want to share with you guys would be Caterpillar today. And I think just now I saw someone in the comment, SC, right, was asking, thinking of entering CAT since in the strong uptrend. Any thoughts? So sorry, I didn't manage to cover it earlier on because this is the bonus stock that I want to share with you guys. And I hope you're still here, right? So because the thing is that when people think about AI, right, I think now with the current narrative, it's all about like semis, right? Typically, people will think about stocks like NVIDIA, Microsoft, the big tech names lah. But today, perhaps maybe I can let you guys take a look at this stock from a completely different sector, right? And a different angle, right? Perhaps industrial, because Caterpillar is actually in the industrial sector. And it's interesting because it can give you diversification away from the technology, but at the same time, potentially benefiting, right, from the massive build out of the AI play, the AI infrastructure, right? Because after all, someone has to build the data center, has to power the system, and to support all this AI boom, right? So Caterpillar has definitely been benefiting from all of this continued AI expansion from the data centers and the related infrastructure demands. So that is a different angle that you can look at this stock as well, right? And on top of that, I think recently they also released news that this is a company with a very long operating history, right, of strong dividend track record. So, I mean, of course, when you think about dividend, the first thing we don't think about is we don't look at US stock to hope that to get dividend from there because we got a 30% withholding tax, so a bit bohua. But I mean, having a strong dividend record, it is a bonus, right? It is a bonus. So why not, right? And I think the Wall Street, right, they actually say that it's expecting a 33rd consecutive annual dividend increase. So that's good, right? So let's take a look at the chart together right now, right? So this is Caterpillar, and I think you guys know what I'm going to say. It's a very beautiful chart, right? You guys can all see it's a very nice, beautiful uptrending chart, pretty textbook based, because go up, consolidate sideways, go up, consolidate sideways, go up, consolidate sideways. Those is a very strong, stable uptrending stock. And that's something that I really like looking out for in stocks, right? And you can see that, I mean, long term, I don't have to talk about it, right? It is up. Short term wise, it is taking a breather. I would say it's taking a breather. It is not pointing down, right? It was actually going up, then it actually flattened out. I would say it's kind of like taking a breather. And just yesterday, right? Just yesterday, price actually closed at, let's see, 940.48. Right, and you can see right over here, I actually draw a line right, at about 925, which is, I would call this like a resistance, right? Maybe some would draw at 920. I put it about 925, 930 lah, right? And as of yesterday, price actually closed above this resistance that I draw. So I should turn it to a green, right? And we got a 1GT bullish signal again. And this is not just the first time. This is 1, 2, 3. This is the third consecutive 1GT bullish signal with the longer term uptrend still pretty much intact. Short term is, at least it's not pointing down, right? It's not pointing down. We have no 1GT bearish signal. It's still a bullish signal, and price closed above the resistance. So it gives us confirmation that the uptrend actually is intact, right? But it's just one day, right? It's just yesterday only that it broke above. I want to monitor, and the key thing is I don't want to rush, right? We don't want to be FOMO. We don't want to rush in. We want to monitor to see whether this breakout, right, can it indeed hold firmly above this new level, turning this new level to become what we call a higher support. Because as prices, as you guys know, if price continue to find higher support along the way, as it continues to play out, that means that buyers are willing to buy at more expensive prices, and that will actually sustain the uptrend, right? So I want to monitor, right, because it's just one day lah. I want to monitor if price can actually indeed firmly hold and break out above this 925, 930 level, right? To continue holding above this level to see another leg up, right? So I think that's the key thing that I'll monitor, right? But in terms of support wise, right? If it doesn't hold above, right? Potentially, where can it head back towards, right? Because now 20 days moving average, like I've mentioned, is going sideways, flattening out. So short term, potentially we could see some sideways consolidation, right? So if it doesn't hold above this new this resistance, right, turning to become a support, right, it comes back down. Potentially what we will be looking towards, the support could be around this 850, right? This 850 could be the support that you are looking out for potentially accumulation on the dips. So as you can see, I've already set my alerts over here lah. But of course, if prices manage to break and hold above this over the next couple of weeks, then definitely I will shift my alert here already, right? I'll shift my alert to the next support level right here, right? So, and that would be what we call a breakout strategy, right? But because, like I've mentioned, it's only one day, I don't know whether will it sustain, right? So the next support that we could be looking towards will be closer to the 850 when prices were to pull back, okay? But overall, I mean, definitely still looking very bullish. If prices is able to break and hold above this 925, 930 level, right, hold and break firmly above it, I think the next potential upside target that we are looking towards will be the psychological 1000, right? And based on this, if I were to do a projection, you see from the range that it was trading, you project it up like that, it's also around the 1000 psychological level, which I would not be surprised if price were to reach that level, profit taking happen, price were to pull back once again. I think nothing wrong, right? So those of you who I think have gotten into this position, still are in this position, I think nothing wrong to take profits near resistance, but I don't think you have to rush in, right? You don't have to rush in to actually buy, or you don't have to rush in to actually take profits, because overall it's still pretty strong, right? But in terms of those of you who are thinking about adding on to some position, I think that is where you can watch for these two levels, like I've mentioned, either towards the 850, if it were to retrace back, unable to break and hold, retrace back, this could be one of the support level. If not, it could be a breakout strategy whereby it will be holding above this 925 to 930. All right, but definitely, I think that Caterpillar, right, would still be in my watch list, and we're closely monitoring whether this breakout is a firm breakout, and the potential upside target will be looking towards 1000. Okay, so I hope that, if you guys like this stock, definitely keep in your watch list as well. And you can also set your alerts, right, to monitor some of these levels that I have set as well. Okay, so that would be it, right, for Caterpillar. And I think we have come to the end of our session today. I'll pass my time back over to Joey so that he can close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much. And there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for those of you who have been joining us and staying all the way to now. And yeah, I think we have come to the end of today's session. So the three bonus stocks would be from me, Morgan Stanley. The code is MS. We have a Western Digital by DJI, and Z just covered on Caterpillar, right? So I hope all of you, got value today. You learned something, especially if you have covered your stocks. Let me know type of V for value, guys. If you have got value from today's AMAS US session, right? V for value, right? I want to acknowledge all of you and thank you for just being here. Let me know, all right, if you have learned something about the strategy, about the one good trend framework. V for value. Let's see who is still over here, right? Okay, I think there's some questions, right? So as I say, sorry guys, if you're gonna cover all the questions, right? It's almost more than 2 hours already, but I'm glad that all of you got value. Adrian, Darren, value, Sam, Joseph, Geneva as well, Hokit, thank you so much. Value. Okay, very good. So glad that all of you got value, you learned something. So as I say, you will find a bit more about the entire strategy. Attend a free webinar next Tuesday. The link is right in the chat. Tim just placed the link in the chat again. And I want to share with you one thing as well, guys, that today may be for the US market, right? So, we shared with you some top US stocks that you can watch right at the end. We even covered your US stocks that you are asking about, right? But if you want to get some of those top Singapore stocks live daily by WhatsApp, right? By WhatsApp daily, right? For free, as it happens, right? Some of the stocks in our watch list could be the banks, it could be DBS, it could be Sheng Siong, it could be some of the tech stocks like AEM as well, right? You have to find out some of the top Singapore stocks. Well, find out how you can become a client of mine in Philip Securities. In case you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, you are kind of just joining us from YouTube and Facebook. You have a trading account, but you don't get any service from your own broker. All right, find out how you can become a client. All right, you do not pay anything more. It's the same as whatever you pay when you're trading. All right, and that's where you get some service, some of top ideas, some of top private trainings, all for free, all right? Especially if you're not getting any, support or ideas or, people contacting you or WhatsApp you. It's like a hotline or something like from your own broker. Find out more, all right? The link is right in the chat. Okay, let me pass on the mic to Jia and Z to share anything else you want to share.
I would just like to add on that, for clients under us, they also receive like the money newsletter. So like what I mentioned, WDC was also one of the counter. I was just looking at back then, I think in March, we started to recommend this counter when it was about 200 plus to 300. So I think if you guys are also interested in the US stocks and want to receive more service or more value as well, I think feel free to just join us as a client under Joey so that you guys can get such service as well.
Yeah, so on my end, maybe last thing to add, just to remind you guys, next week will be for Singapore market, and I think Joey will be on a short break, so it will just be me and Jia, and I hope to see you guys here again for the next session, for the Singapore one. If you guys have any Singapore requested stock, join us during then, and we'll cover them as much as possible. Yep.
All right, so that's it, guys. All right, so I'll be having a short break next Friday. No worries, my team, Z and Jia, will be covering your Singapore stocks. Right, so do join us next Friday. All right, that's it. Have a good weekend. See you guys. All right, and take care. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.